A charming blonde girl found the boy in a sunlit clearing under a tree and asked why Akkad was avoiding her. He sat leaning against the trunk of a tree, his legs drawn together, crying and trembling, assuring that he was not avoiding anyone. The girl, approaching her friend, explained that she only took his hand, and he immediately broke free and ran away. The kid explained that his father told him never to take off his gloves, and she tore the glove off his hand. Will she get anything for it? The girl was surprised, looking at him with an innocent look of huge blue eyes. The boy cried again. She said, "Okay, no more, or else he'll pass out if she kisses him." The boy roared even harder at this. The girl asked herself, what should she do with him now? She persuaded him to stop crying because he becomes ugly when he cries. He denied that his mother tells him that he is always handsome, and she tells him that he is ugly when he cries. The boy suddenly stopped crying. His pink tresses are the color of cotton candy, soft, chubby cheeks and eyes that glisten with tears. Well, okay, he's prettier than Rose Salome, but she never saw Lady Rose, said the boy. The girl playfully looked at her friend and explained that she imagined her very well. The boy did not answer, but looked at her with a silent question in his eyes. The girl threatened in any case let him stop crying, otherwise she will really kiss him. He yelled at Laviette to stop saying things like that. Why is he crying again? She wanted to calm him down. An adult boy came, saying that he heard crying in the garden, so he decided to see what happened here. Did Miss bully Akkad again? Asked the black guy. No, she was not mocking, the girl objected. Akkad himself fled and wept alone. She didn't bully. It is enough to look into Akkad's eyes, said the boy, hugging the child. But he is her personal knight. Why is he on Akkad's side? Thought the little girl. His eyes are the same as usual. Okay, they are very swollen. Miss has been kind of weird lately. Just a month ago they were at odds with each other, Alan replied. And he took the boy by the hand and the girl in his arms. Beautiful autumn shone with warmth. Maybe it happened because of that incident, suggested Alan. The girl hugged the boy by the neck. Laviette complained that she suddenly felt very cold. Can they go a little faster? Okay, sure, they can catch a cold. Therefore, he will immediately take them to the room. The boy looked seriously at Alan when he asked if the kid could go faster and answered in the affirmative. Because Akkad cried a lot, he now looks like a rabbit. Does he know about it? She looked at her hands and apologized. Her hands must look very dirty, don't they? The boy said with compassion in his eyes and voice that he could see the very wounds on her hands. Ah, is he about it? Probably these are scratches due to grass and trees. She decided to ask why he was hiding in that place. She often plays there with her older brother anyway, so it wouldn't be difficult for her to find him. He asked, "Doesn't her arm hurt?" She responded by asking, "Does she look that sick already?" In this case, he can take her hand, and she extended her right palm to him. She, Laviette Diaz, has one secret. It happened a month ago, after she fell in the garden and lost consciousness. When she came to her senses, she learned several new facts. Laviette accidentally discovers that this world is from a book she read in a past life, that she was reincarnated as Laviette Diaz, who is the younger sister of the main character named Werner Diaz. To be more precise, she had a secondary role in the book. She was needed for the main character, Werner, to mourn her death at a young age. Does that mean she has to die when she turns 20? And she can't remember what she's supposed to die from. Did she get sick? Or someone bad shortened her life? She woke up in bed. Werner asks Laviette to look at him. Will she recognize her older brother or not? Is she still in pain? She is not weak enough to die. What kind of delusion? And her body was so weak and wounded that even doctors and priests refused to treat her. He agrees, if she continues in her spirit, she will destroy her body before she gains strength. It seems that this weakness in the body will not disappear with age. The girl's eyes were shining, not a very comforting forecast. Fortunately, even with all this, she had hope. Duke Akkad's son Enoch is her childhood friend. This child is able to heal a person just by touching them. But no one should know about it except her. No one will know about it. The girl promised Akkad and thanked for the healing. Oh, how she wished her dear friend Akkad could spend all his time with her every night. Every evening? It will be difficult to see each other so often. You will have to get permission from your parents. She knows he can't. Judging by the book, Akkad will go to war at the age of 16. She sat on the bed and shuffled her legs, looking at her troubled friend. Soon he will understand his true purpose, lamented the blonde girl, and will feel special feelings for her brother Werner. So it is. The story in which she was embodied was with the theme of BOL, that is, love between boys. However, she has no desire to help her older brother with his tumultuous love, nor to maintain the flow of the story. Above all, she has to worry about her own survival. She does not know the exact date and reason. It did not scare her. Now she's determined to do whatever she can, and she needs Akkad to do that. Somehow, it does not matter at all whether the brother will be influential or not. Who will lead the empire, and who has what orientation? She hardly remembers anything important that happened in this story. Is she still in pain? Asked a friend. Because she sighs heavily all the time? What? Laviette snapped out of her thoughts. No, he helped her, answered the girl. He said that he can heal wounds and return to his previous state, but Laviette is really very weak by nature. Does she understand now? The girl looked at him. As expected, he is a good boy. Is Akkad worried about her? And suddenly she pushed him so that he fell on the bed. She told him that he would sleep with her tonight. He was scared. He already slept with her last week. She asks for it again. The girl leaned over him. She sleeps well with him. Does he care that she has nightmares? Without exaggeration, she wakes up to the fact that it seems to her that someone has settled on her bedspread, or from the fact that a light breeze blows. Her heart just jumps out of horror. She slipped her finger under his glove. Lavi can only sleep soundly with him. Can't he help her? Oh, it's such a shame to have to use this cute baby. She is very hurt because she makes this boy touch her all the time, while he loves her older brother. But she will do it only until he turns 16, and then Akkad will go to war. And Laviette will come of age. Then she will find a priest healer and marry him. Will she be able to survive if her husband is a priest healer? Thought the girl. She doesn't ask for much. She just wants to live long and not get sick. However, there is one big problem. He is too cautious. Akkad was worried. Oh, no, Laviette. He hasn't asked his mother's permission yet. She said she had already asked her. In fact, she will tell about everything later. Please don't worry. He just needs to be with her. The girl smiled and looked at him with warmth in her eyes. The sky was reflected in the bathroom water through the window. Will she sleep with Akkad tonight? Asked the maid Jenny, bathing the girl. Yes, she had already sent a letter of request to Duchess Enoch. Therefore, you should prepare pajamas for Akkad. So good. Oh, it's time to get out of the bathroom. All the skin is red, although she lowered the temperature so well. Conversely, she may catch a cold if she swims in colder water. Well, the same thing again. If she wants to survive, she probably needs to keep Akkad close. She asked him to move closer to her. He refused. But why is he so timid? The girl was angry. The fact is that he should sleep only with the one he loves, the boy explained. Where did he just hear that? He didn't say anything like that last time. But they are already lying in the same bed anyway. This is another matter. The girl was offended. He is only 7 years old. Then maybe he'll feel better if she says something similar to his loved one. In the original story, he was just running after her brother. But there was no romance there. Although it is true that at the end of their story they kissed hard. The boy moved the pillow so that it was between him and the girl, and the guard peeked out from behind the pillow. The girl threw the pillow away and hugged him. He blushed and said her name. She said his name in response. Just let him think that her older brother is next to him instead of her. What? She knows he likes him. She has the same hair and eye color as her older brother. No, she is different from Werner. Was it unpleasant for him that she compared herself to the person he likes? Okay, she apologized. It's true. They are really nothing alike. Okay, then just let him take her hand. She told Akkad that he had very beautiful hair. It's so soft that it feels like it will disappear as soon as she touches it. She likes it so much. He said that her hair looked like it was about to light up in the sun, this golden hair which is always playing with the wind, and blue eyes that resemble precious stones. Her white skin is so easily damaged, so she always needs to be careful. But despite the fact that she is so weak, it is she who always holds his hand. In fact, it is not difficult for him to remove her hand. He doesn't want Laviette to get hurt like she did recently. She moved the plate with breakfast and asked if Akkad wanted to eat. But this is her food. Won't she eat it? No. If she eats something like that, she can get sick. She gets sick if she eats only meat. And he gets sick if he eats the vegetables themselves. Fine. Then he will eat her food too. The girl pushed him a dessert made of jelly, offering to taste it. But he was already full. She joked that there is always a second stomach for desserts, and asked to say A. She is very happy to see him healthy and with a good appetite. So she also feels healthier, amazingly. She is weak, but next to her he always feels weaker. He blushed. She rested her face on her palm and watched him eat with delight. One of her smiles brings tears to his eyes. A call was heard in the darkness. "Lavi? Who is this?" It seems that someone is calling her. How long will she lie with her eyes closed? She wants to answer, but she can't move. The boy looks at the girl, and she said that she sleeps well with him. The girl's hands are stained. Tiredly opens his eyes. "That's a liar," said the boy with shining eyes that resembled mercury, and pressed her hand to his chin. "Laviette," the boy called, looking at the girl who grabbed his hand. Akkad? Can she let go of his hand? She seems to have dreamed something, but she can't remember what exactly. As if Akkad was in her dream. He was about to get up carefully, but he didn't think she would wake up. Is it because he let go of her hand? Okay, it's better to focus on reality, not on dreams. "Yes, that's why," said the girl. "It's all because he woke up, let go of her hand. She slept so soundly," the boy explained. Still, he needed to hold her hand until she asked him to let go. But how could he do that? The girl got angry. He asks not to be angry with him. What? She says she is not angry. She is not angry. She just thought about how to make him always with her. "Yes, indeed, she is angry," said the girl. The boy was sitting on the bed, kneeling in front of her with a question in his eyes. "How is he going to calm her down?" asked the conspiratorial girl, raising a finger up. There were pillows with colorful bows and various decorations on the table. Various shoes, sandals with bows and flowers stood on the floor nearby. The children were in the dressing room. "Was what Laviette said true?" the boy asked, holding her hand. Yes, he himself said that he would do anything. She asked to look at it, holding a delicate blue thin material in her hand. She thinks these clothes will suit him very well. And she handed him a girl's dress. He doesn't want it, it's women's clothes. These clothes are very beautiful. What difference does it make if it is male or female? If it suits him, let him wear it. Then she can wear these clothes herself. This is her dress. Yes, she wants to wear it too, but the clothes are very heavy, so she never wears them. If she wears these dresses, she won't even be able to walk 10 steps in them. Wouldn't it be better if someone wore these clothes before she was just thrown away? Argument. Come to think of it, Lava always wore the same dress. Light fabric, not too long, so that it does not step on him while running. The minimum amount of lace and ribbons. Regular design to cover a slim body. And if he reacted so sharply, then he really does not like this idea, said the girl, dropping her hands with the dress. Well, if he doesn't want to wear it, then nothing can be done here. It's heavy, so she'll just throw it away. Her hands already hurt. The boy said to wait, touched her hand and looked embarrassed. I asked her to promise that no one but her would see this. She made a friendly promise and laughed. She asked if he had already put it on. Not yet. And asks not to return until he is fully dressed. Okay. She doesn't look at him. It disappears so magically, and he always took a bath with her until just a year ago. He cries and then blushes. His expression changes so quickly. The girl noticed in him a behavior atypical for boys. Oh, she looked. This jewelry would go well with the dress she gave him. She was holding a blue ribbon in her hand. We'll have to try. And saw the reflection of a boy in a dress in the mirror. He was crying. She promised not to look at him. The great palace was bathed in sunlight among the sun-drenched trees. She said she was very sorry for that remark because she really didn't see anything. Someone, quickly approaching the room, asked what was going on in Laviette. Was she not injured? Alan entered, the boy who was supposed to accompany her everywhere. The boy crossed his arms over his chest. I was surprised that Akkad was wearing a dress. Laviette covered the boy with herself so that his clothes would not be seen, but it was too late. She apologized. The boy cried and blurted out that Laviette was a liar. But she is useless. She asked Akkad to apologize and stop crying. He shouted that he hated Laviette. She looked at him in surprise. It's because he's beautiful. What? It was nice to see him shine, said the girl, tying a blue bow to his pink braids. She asked me to forgive her and not to hate her. If before that, this time she has to calm him down. She will do whatever he says, the girl promised, raising her hands up. He said she could do whatever she wanted. Does Akkad have no ideas? Doesn't he want to ask her something? The girl was surprised. She just asked so out of the blue, so he didn't think anything of it. Laviette is so beautiful. Today her complexion looks healthy, and the lips are red. He does not know. Well, it's not fair for Akkad to run away from her like that. She can't run after him that fast. A blonde boy saw the children. It's dangerous to run in the corridors, he said after catching the boy. And sitting down, he asked if she was having a good time today. The girl was delighted with this scene. Brother? Why did he come now? The little boy blushed. Didn't Alan see Lovey? Werner asked. She is in the dressing room, replied the knight to the gentleman. He had heard that she had been feeling much better lately. Is it because she's become interested in dresses? Asked the boy. He wants to see it with his own eyes, and ran to the dressing room. A moment before, Alan had asked Mr. Werner for a haircut. It would be better not to run him there, especially now. The black boy with long black hair reacted with alarm, but with a smile. He hears the sound of children's footsteps approaching. But can she walk so energetically? Looks like Lavi is doing really well today. He hadn't heard anything like that in a long time. Lavi, it's dangerous to run like that. She's having a good time today, isn't she? Werner said, not recognizing the boy. The girl called him and asked what brought him here today. He had heard that their Lavi had gone to the dressing room, so he was curious, and he hurried. What? He began to look back at one child, then at another. The boy said he wanted to go down. What? Why is he with Lavi? Besides, in the dress he gave her on her previous birthday. Akkad asked to come down. He doesn't like that Akkad has been around Lavi a lot lately. Regardless of the fact that they are childhood friends, wearing someone else's dress is somehow strange. Werner's face darkened. Laviette said she was the one who asked him to wear it. They have strange games. Lavi! The boy pulled the girl. He will already leave. He was all red with shame. Oh, Werner's cold behavior upsets Akkad. The girl got angry. By the way, she wanted to ask Akkad something, she said menacingly, throwing her hands to her sides. Does he have a person he loves? This question surprised the boy. Why is she interested in this? Of course not. Now he only has her. Enough, she heard what she wanted. Asks him not to start a relationship with anyone. And if he wants to, he must ask her permission. She wrapped the boy's shoulders and headed to the dressing room. Werner asked where they had gathered. He doesn't need to know that, the girl said conspiratorially, holding her friend's shoulders. These are their children's games. The boy hung the dress on the bedpost. The children went outside. Only she should have seen him in a dress. It's all because he suddenly ran away, Lavi replied. If he hadn't done that, he wouldn't have met her brother. The girl replied indignantly, crossing her arms over her chest. Therefore, in the future, she asks to hold her hand. In this case, she will not get into a similar situation again. She will be able to cover her brother's eyes quickly, the girl promised. And how will she manage to do it? The boy laughed. A blush played again on his cheeks from the memories of the embarrassment. She is serious. She will do it next time. The girl happily looked at Akkad. She is glad that he is finally smiling. Was he glad to see her brother? She asked, leading him by the hand through the garden. Why does she keep talking about Werner? Asked the boy in annoyance. He doesn't know. Werner doesn't like him. Oh, this brother. Laviette was indignant. Because of him, her friend became upset again. In the novel, Akkad always lay with his arm outstretched and deep in thought. She's sure he's upset about the fact that the person he likes isn't even looking at him. The girl looked at her friend with sympathy and kissed Akkad. He scowled, and she replied that he always had her anyway. She does not want such a good person like him to suffer. Therefore, she will help him as he helped her. Does he believe her? Asked the girl. Indeed, she will help as a friend. Yes, he believes her. She looked into his eyes, holding her face so close that their noses almost touched, and hugged his back. She brought her little lips to his. By the way, she asked him about his wishes. Is he ready to give her an answer yet? Can they not return to this topic again? It's already happened anyway. The next morning at Duke Enoch's mansion, Mom asked Akkad if he had a good time yesterday. He frowned and replied that yes, it was like that, and sent the dessert to his mouth with a fork. When Laviette spoke to him, Akkad concluded that he had no idea what she was feeling. Will she want to meet him after the way he acted yesterday? Duchess Enoch noticed that her child was thoughtful. Looks like Laviette is a peculiar person, Mom said. What? Asked the boy distractedly. Well, judging by her sending the invitation again, It looks like Akkad had a good time with Lavi after all. The pink-haired Duchess smiled and showed an envelope sealed with a bow. What a beautiful handwriting. She definitely wants her to be her daughter-in-law, although she always looks strange when she talks to her. So today, Akkad... Mother did not have time to finish, because when she blinked, she saw that he had already gone somewhere. Where did he go? Akkad asked the nanny for the clothes he bought a week ago. Is it so unexpected? The suit has very long sleeves, so she needs to fix that first. How so? What about shoes? And let him bring all the brooches they have. He really needs to fix his hair. Okay, Nanny will prepare everything, don't worry. Immediately, the two maids looked into the room with curiosity to see what was going on there. One of them said that she saw Akkad like this for the first time. The other fell in love with him, pressing her palm to his cheek. It's just that her partner is doing laundry all the time, so she doesn't know that he's always like this when he goes to the mansion of the Marquis of Diez. It seems that spring has come to the young man. The boy was holding his shirt and jacket in confusion. He called to Laviette, who was standing by the scullery with the bed hanging. Laviette blushed when she saw Akkad. Oh, he was so handsome, like a prince. The boy greeted his girlfriend. Wow, Akkad looks great as always, praised the girl. Yes, she is too, he replied. Today he will definitely show his true self, thought the boy with cheeks bright red from excitement. He was so dressed up today that she thought he was going to a ball. What is it? Yesterday the brother did not behave well, so he wanted to show himself from another side, the girl decided. It's a pity, but my brother is not at home today, she expressed her assumption. But he is here to meet her, not his brother. Why does she need a sheet? He asked as she placed it on top of his head. Well, nice clothes, that's all right, but that's what they're going to need today. Did Akkad ever go out into the garden in the middle of the night? Said the girl conspiratorially. In a half-dark corridor where old portraits of dignified ladies with fans and men hung, Akkad asked Laviette if she had heard a strange sound. They both made themselves small cloaks from bedspreads. No, it was just a draft. The boy was very scared. His eyes widened. He didn't even notice how his hand was in hers. If he's afraid he can squeeze her hand tighter, or just look at her and walk away, said her friend over her shoulder. If there really is a fairy in this world, shouldn't she have the same smile as lava? Is Akkad cold? Asked the girl, touching his rosy cheeks. What? No, indeed, but his face is so red and it burns. He's fine. He's just hot. Okay. She's glad he's okay. Maybe he is hot because of the blanket? You have to be patient a little, because without a blanket he can catch a cold, said the girl, choking him even harder. The problem is that he cannot use his powers on himself. Why is Laviette so kind to him? The boy asked. Because he is a special person for her. He looked at her in surprise and asked what special meant. Well, I think she answered very vaguely. Well, she and his parents know about his skills. Therefore, of course, they have a special relationship. Okay, he got it. And since they have a special relationship, she can give him anything. Can give him all his toys. Even if she really values these things? Asked the boy. The girl illuminated the road in front of them with a lantern. Yes, of course, but she likes him more than toys. Therefore, she asks him to always hold her hand. And don't do it with other kids. Okay, he promised he wouldn't. She was surprised that he obeyed her. Although she feels guilty, she feels good about it. And with Werner, he can also hold hands. And with his family. And with Alan, too. Too much, the alarmed boy replied feverishly. Okay, then let him do it only with her. And the truth can hold hands only with her? Yes, only with her. Regardless of this promise, Akkad will someday find someone more important to him than her. Laviette winked. Oh, found it. There is a well. In front of them really stood a hexagonal well lined with bricks. What kind of atmosphere is this? A feeling as if there really are ghosts here. The girl decided to move the wooden board away. Yes, you should rather make a wish. But the fairy is not there yet? What? And it must be. She is in the well. But she said that you have to look inside to make a wish. Does he really want to open the well? She was only going to listen to Akkad's wishes and leave. Well, let it wait. Well, then she will help. There is no choice. You have to go to the end. It is necessary to open an account 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, it's still dark and they won't see anything. 3, bulk. Water dripped from the bed. Does Laviette see a fairy? Asked the boy. Well, something is shining there. Something is visible. But what? Who is that inside? What was there? Really a ghost? No, it's just birds. but the boy saw the glare of his eyes and cried out in alarm. A lantern fell into the well. Immediately, a guard ran to the rescue and her parents woke up. Of course, they were scolded for it. "There must have been something in the well," the girl shouted. "Let him calm down." "They just saw the reflection of their faces in the reflections of the water," assured Love's brother. "But it's strange." Alan rubbed his chin. "Why?" Werner asked. "Because this well has dried up a long time ago," replied the knight. "Is this possible?" The children looked at each other in fright. "Don't let Lavi worry," Werner reassured. "If she is so afraid, she can sleep with her older brother today." "Then what did they see?" She hugged Akkad. "She is scared. As soon as it dawns, the well must be filled in," Werner commanded the knight. "Okay," he answered. The next morning, the workers set about filling the well. The maids were glad to finally fill up this haunted well. One of them did not know that there were ghosts. The other explained that there are rumors that a ghost can be seen in the well at night. There were no such rumors before. "He was never spoken of so badly," answered the older woman. "And how exactly did they start talking about this well?" asked the younger one. "This is a very old story. Almost no one knows anything about her anymore," answered the maid in glasses. "Let her go and wash the bedspread that Miss Lovey left for her." "No, she needs to hear this story," the girl complained. "Now everyone has forgotten about the old rumors. At night, before midnight, a person will see the imprint of his fate. Whether this is true or not, no one knows." The girl apologized to Akkad, who was sitting on his knees on the bed with his back to her and crying, "She is a liar. She knew everything. He will not go to the well again." "Okay, fine. Even if they wanted to, they still wouldn't be able to go to him now. Just don't cry. And under what pretext to call him now?" Lavi hugged the boy in farewell. After all, he protected her. Upon returning home, Akkad looked sadly in front of him and sighed from time to time. "Why is this Akkad sighing so heavily since the morning? Did something happen?" Duke Enoch asked. The mood of the child was transmitted to his mother. The boy explained to his father that he wanted to become strong, and he told his parents about his plan to achieve this goal. "Does he want to learn fencing?" Laviette asked. For her, this news was like thunder in the middle of a clear sky. "Yes, the training starts the next day," said the boy, handing the girl a strawberry on a fork that he took out of his lunchbox. "Oh, she can't believe it. And how will he hold the sword with his delicate hands? He can do anything if he learns." And shoved a strawberry into her mouth. "So he has already reached the point of learning fencing." Laviette remembered an illustration from a book, the plot of which she relied on in planning her own life, where a portrait of the Enoch family was depicted. According to the novel, Akkad, the eldest child of the Duke's family, was so capable that he was sent to war at the age of 16. "It's strange. It's happening too quickly." The girl was upset. "Now they won't be able to play with him." "No, he will still come." The boy was indignant. "But he will not be able to spend the night in them every time." "Well, he can, about once a week." The girl was capricious. "Once every 2 days. Oh, it will be very difficult. Perhaps he will succeed once every 3 days. Okay, bargained. Then they will spend the night together once every 3 days." Laviette gave a sly glance. "Yes, he promises." She raised her hand thoughtfully to her face, as if scratching her chin. "If he sleeps once every 3 days, then it will be very similar to the current state of affairs. And she won't have to come up with a reason for spending the night together every time. It's wonderful. Let him write her a letter if suddenly he cannot come." The girl put her palm on his handle. "Letters? Why? But they are seen so often. What to write there?" asked the boy. "Anything. There are no secrets between them." "Someday this day will come," thought the girl, walking on the lawn in front of the palace. "He will have a wider environment." I imagined him in a camisole and a burgundy raincoat. She hopes he won't forget her. "Because he is the closest person to her," said Laviette. Her eyes shone like amethysts. "Let him start writing her letters from the next day," he promised. The boy, despite the fatigue and pain, practiced daily with a heavy 2-handed training sword, and the girl wrote him letters with a black quill pen. Akkad even slept with these letters. She reread the answers and wrote new ones. He was crying, and new letters were brought to him. He worked out very well today. His mother praised him, and she said to quickly go to the living room. A letter is waiting for him there again. The boy ran to the living room. There were 2 sealed envelopes on the tray. "This is a letter from Laviette," he guessed, and he placed his wooden sword so that it rested on the chair. What will today be about? Akkad opened the envelope with interest. He's always running somewhere after class, shouted a catch-up cousin to Akkadu. Is it just for the letters? He could not even avoid his blow. Does he really attend fencing classes? They are not in class now. The boy protected his personal boundaries and took hold of the injured opposite shoulder with his left hand. Does Akkad think that a weakling like him can choose a convenient time to train? The boy cheekily remarked, knocking the letter out of his injured hand with his sword. He told the Duke that he wanted to become stronger. Cade, Akkad's cousin, continued to press. But he is so weak. When is he going to get stronger? Today he again lost the whole lesson to him. This does not concern Cade in any way. It is necessary to stop this pointless conversation. Cade asked, What, he doesn't like it? This kid, Akkad, is the rightful heir to the title of Duke Enoch. His father, who has the same blood, was forced to stay with the Countess of Courtenay. And as much as Cade Courtenay's skills surpass Akkad Enoch's, he has no choice but to watch this kid inherit the title of Duke. It's not fair. Cade held up a wooden sword. Okay, then let him defend himself. The boys crossed their training weapons. He told him to stop, said Akkad indignantly. Laviette told him not to hurt his face in any way. Akkad seems to have misunderstood something. He is in no position to point out Cade. Cade kicked Akkad in the stomach and swung a wooden sword. He came here at the Duke's request to help him, and again the swords crossed. This little one cries all the time. He also runs after some girl. The boy waved his sword angrily. And what is this strange hair color? Mrs. Diaz gave Akkad this letter, didn't she? Cade said angrily. What a fool he is. He does not need to build a friendship with her. It is still possible with her brother. Why should he see that weak girl who will soon die? The boy's eyes widened. He reacted angrily. The next moment, Cade was staring at the ass. Where did this power come from? The boy was surprised, looking at Akkad, who put him on his shoulder blades. What was that? Now let him take his words back, said the blond boy angrily. Marquis Diaz Palace. Did Miss sleep well? Asked the maid, drawing back the curtains. The girl, wiping her eyes and getting out from under the blanket, answered, No. In order not to catch a cold, she covered herself with a blanket up to her neck, so she could not breathe normally all night. She feels numbness in her hands and feet, and besides, the head splits open. The girl had tears in her eyes. With Akkad, she would get enough sleep. Laviette imagined her and her friend sleeping together, holding each other in their arms. All right. Today she will be able to meet him. A smile blossomed on her face from a pleasant anticipation. What? Asked the girl, looking at the drink, which almost spilled because she knocked the glass on the table with every breath. Akkad will not be able to come? Yes, but he sent a letter instead, replied the brother. Let him look at it. In the letter it was written that the boy apologizes, but will not be able to come for some time due to certain circumstances. Caption: Her friend Akkad. Circumstance? What other circumstances? Did he enjoy sword training so much? Has he discovered his hidden talent? The girl was upset and alarmed. Did he like the class so much that he decided to push it to the background? It's not fair. She also wants to see how Akkad trains, and asked for permission to go play with a friend. No, the brother did not allow it. He does not want her to catch a temperature later after the ride in the carriage. Besides, the maid said that she didn't sleep well today, so she should rest today. The girl was confused and very upset. After all she can do now is write a letter in return. And she lay down on the table, scraping the pen with her last strength. She's in the mansion all the time, so she doesn't even have anything to write about. She looked thoughtfully at the leaf. Why is Akkad's letter so short? She doesn't even know how to answer that. Tired and upset, Laviette leaned back in her chair. She wants Akkad to come to her as soon as possible. If he doesn't come, they won't be able to meet. She moved the chair to the very window and looked at the yard. A letter was brought to Akkad from the palace of Marquis Diaz. The maid informed him about this, knocking on the door. He climbed into bed with the letter under the covers. His cheek was covered with a bandage. He was reading a letter in which it was written that she congratulated Akkad and said that it was okay that he did not come. But why is his letter so short? He should have written at least 1 page. She is interested in what is happening to him. How was the training? Didn't find a new friend? What's delicious with tea? And how many times today I cried and laughed. She is interested in everything. He will tell her everything later. Why couldn't he come? The girl asked in the letter. She would wait for him and signed the letter as his best, closest friend, Laviette. The boy smiled, tears filling his eyes. He seems to have felt that this letter was written by Laviette, her warmth, and even heard her distinct voice. The boy got off the bed and stood with one foot on the floor. He is sure she would be angry to see this. He looked at his reflection in the mirror. And everything was like that. When he shouted for the boy to take back his words, then he heard the answer. What will happen if he does not take it back? Will he go and complain to the Duke? He would not act like a coward. But he can't forgive him for what he said about Laviette, the boy explained. Is he not afraid at all, and if he cannot forgive? Asked the cousin. Akkad is actually a weakling and he just managed to strike unexpectedly. Does he think Cade didn't notice Akkad narrowing his eyes as the sword approaches his face? So this time it will work. And the boy attacked Akkad with a sword. Akkad had a frightened look on his face, but he did not close his eyes. He knocked the sword out of his opponent's hands with his sword. He looked surprised. How come he didn't close his eyes? Cade Courtney's final warning, the boy said, giving him a cold look. His cheek was cut open. Enough! Cade exclaimed. Okay, he takes his words back. He was ashamed of his first defeat. How bad he is, said the cousin. Akkad, rubbing his scar, silently looked after. What to do? When will it come off his face? Laviette told him not to hurt his face for anything. She will definitely be angry with him, the boy thought, or simply disappointed in him. He was told to put ointment on the wound every day and it would heal quickly. And he also needs a lot of sleep. He blew out the candle and went to bed, wondering if he would be able to go to her tomorrow, but he could not fall asleep. Tears rolled from the eyes. He missed Laviette. Did she eat well? Did you sleep today? He also wants to know as much as possible about her. Where is Akkad running like that? Asked his father a few days later. He's going to Laviette, answered the happy boy. It's in the Diaz Palace, isn't it? And stroked his hair. So, a rabbit was born at Laviette's menagerie, so they decided to celebrate with a cake. His cousin came out. The boy's fists automatically clenched in the same way as the second one. Akkad said that he would not tell the Duke anything. But Cade thinks that Akkad has already told everything. The boy said with a smile, "Good morning," holding his hand to his chest. And hello to Akkad, he said. Akkad frowned but remained silent. The Duke was surprised and rubbed his chin. He heard that they got into a fight during sparring. As Cade can see, Akkad is going to go to Laviette again, rammed the kid with a menacing look at his cousin. What else did they talk about with the Duke? Thought the older boy. Are they still angry? Asked the Duke, looking at the boys, who were visibly tense. One said no, and the other said yes. Oh, this one is not far away, the elder thought. At such moments the topic should be reduced to no. Why does he say that they reconciled if he himself started it first? The Duke said that the Earl of Courtney, Cade's father, was his only sibling, and the two of them have only one son each. Therefore he would like them boys to be like brothers to each other. Cade, holding an open book, peered into his cousin's book. If their families are united, no one will be able to harm them, the Duke explained. Is he telling him to accept the fact that he will forever be overshadowed by his son? Cade thought. And he said aloud that the Duke was right, and to Akkad that he had treated him badly last time. He apologizes, he will be more careful in advance, and offered Akkad his hand. The boy doesn't like handshakes, and now if he does something wrong, he won't be able to go to Laviette. And shook hands. Cade grabbed his arm and pulled him to him. By the way, as far as he knew, Mr. Diaz only spent time in the mansion. Does he think she will be scared if she sees his scary hands? Akkad broke free. The Duke noticed that something was wrong, and patted Cade on the shoulder. Said he was apologizing for him. He does not understand what has been happening to him lately. But everything is fine, Cade sneered meanly. He understands that Akkad is still a child. He understands everything perfectly, said the boy hypocritically with fire in his eyes. A richly decorated wide carriage moved through the gardens. In it, Akkad was finally on his way to his girlfriend, and reasoned that Cade almost got him into trouble again. You need to calm down, and asked the attendant if they could go faster. They are already going at maximum speed. They will arrive soon. Laviette must have already waited. The boy fidgeted impatiently with his legs. I wonder what she is doing now. And she was looking out the window. The wind fluttered the curtains. The girl was crying. What? How did she get so sick while he was gone? or she could cry a lot. The maid watched with affection as the children ran to meet each other. Laviette said he arrived earlier than she expected, and she bragged about the hairstyle that Alan had done for her. The nights are as great as expected, and she put her arms around Alan's neck. Akad's face darkened. When did her relationship with him get to this point? Is this included in the duties of a knight who accompanies a young lady? Not usually, but today she wanted to ask him. But why? The boy was upset. She did not know what to answer. Shortly before Akad's arrival, she was sick. She had absolutely no strength. She was lying on the sofa in the corridor. Alan said that if she lay in such a strange position, she would get even more tired. Akad will arrive soon, so we must get up, and helped her up. Why? It is not necessary for her to look good in front of Akad. In any case, she does not regard him as an object of size, so why wouldn't she just lie down like this? And she just lay down on Alan. The head shakes. Alan looked at her with his warm green eyes and told her she could lay there as long as she wanted. She complimented his beautiful hair and asked how he took care of it. He doesn't even know, but he doesn't do anything about it. Why? Didn't he grow it out because he likes long braids? Well, not that he likes it. Once upon a time when Lavi was very little, she cried when she couldn't touch his hair, and then she always fell asleep on his back, playing with his braids. He could not normally tie his hair high on his head, because then it was not long enough. Doesn't she remember all this? No, she doesn't remember. Was it necessary to grow hair, just for her sake? He saw no reason not to. He is her knight, and he will do anything for her. The girl looked at the knight with interest. Alan is really such a good person, despite the fact that he likes to grumble sometimes. Then couldn't he do her hair? Asked the girl slyly. She wants a high hairstyle like his. Okay, answered the guy, but he offers to make her hair shorter, because a high one will give her a headache. Okay, the girl agreed. That's how Alan made her hair look better than she expected. Does Akad like her? But it is her duty to braid. The maid was indignant. Why is she looking at him like that? Alan asked. She feels danger from the night, said the maid. She hadn't seen him like that for a long time. What is it? Asked the girl to her friend, who looked gloomy in front of him and remained silent. She can't ask him to hold her hand right now, can she? She was worried. She may seem like a stranger, so it is better to wait. Meanwhile, the boy began to take off his gloves and pulled her to him by the handle, wrapping his other arm around the beans. For the first time, she feels such a large amount of energy. The girl looked at him with wide eyes. Is it all because they haven't seen each other in a long time, or something else? The boy said her name. What has changed in Akad? He was completely red and said that she was even more beautiful with this hairstyle. I can't believe it. She was very confused. It was as if a storm passed through her, although it is clearly a healing power. The boy was also red, but looked at her seriously. Her heart is pounding so hard for some reason. She feels strange. He hugged her to him. He grabbed her too hard. It hurts. He apologized and let her go. Is Akad just bragging that he is stronger than her? He also said that he did not like her usual hairstyle. The girl became angry. For her to look good in front of Akad, it shouldn't worry her much, but his words upset her. That is, he wants to say that she is not beautiful with loose braids? The boy was scared. He didn't want to say it. Then what did he mean? The point is, he answered sadly from silence, looking at her yellow bows, and did not know what to answer. He thinks Jenny braids her hair better, he said, and blushed. How to understand this? In a glass with orange juice splashed ice and oranges. She asked Akad if he remembered what she wrote to him in the last letter. The children had a picnic on the lawn and drank cold drinks, so that he would not allow anyone to touch him. Yes, he can't touch anyone but her. Laviette took a sip with relish. The bright drink went very well with the yellow bows. She also said not to hug anyone, even if they offer him a treat in return. Now Akad's face is glowing. And he didn't rude to her just recently, thought the girl comforted. If someone is going to force him to do it, he should say, no, don't do it. But no matter how careful he is, it's not enough, said the girl, looking into his eyes. Why is he looking at her like that? Maybe he thought that she was telling him this, but she was doing the same thing herself. A treat from Laviette, constantly making him take off his gloves. Stop. She's an exception. She's just weak. That is... his best friend. And he doesn't look like that because of that. She forbade him to do this, but why does she allow others to touch her? The boy was indignant. She smiled innocently. When is it? Just look at him. He's using his cute face again. With Sir Alan, he said. What? That's Alan, the knight who accompanies her. It seems that since she wants to protect Akkad from the evil wolves that might attack him, she will have to set an example. He is close even now. The problem is more that Akkad pulled her arm. Moreover, he did it without saying a word to her. But Miss herself does so much to Akkad, Alan thought as he stood behind the tree next to him. Laviette continued to teach her friend. No matter how much he pleases a person, you should not get so close to someone else's face. He didn't look happy, thought the knight. Lavi added, There is nothing wrong with her, but others may misunderstand. But Alan is a completely different matter. Why? Asked the boy. Because he is handsome. Alan blushed. What? Asked the boy. She explained that the friend asked so persistently that she ended up giving her honest opinion, and she had nothing bad in mind about Akkad. Why did he suddenly cry? Laviette said that it was he who was handsome. Yes, it is, confirmed the girl. Does he look like Sir Alan? It turns out he is not handsome at all. The boy cried bitterly. What kind of delusion is he carrying? I would like to tell her so, but first you need to calm the child down. Akkad needs to calm down for a start. Of course he is more handsome than Alan. It doesn't even make sense to compare here. You have to stop crying because it makes him ugly. No, she's lying. Is she lying? He continued to cry. She likes him crying, doesn't she? He explained. She was very surprised, and so was Alan. She doesn't like it. Where did he get it from? The girl rehearsed. So he cried because he thought she liked it? So that's what he was thinking about all this time. The boy looked at her with teary eyes. He's actually handsome, even when he's crying, but when he goes somewhere, let him not say anything like that to anyone. What exactly not to say? That she likes how he cries. Okay, he agreed. Why did he answer so dryly? Thought the girl. Oh, you have to be more careful with your words. What if he had said such a thing in the presence of the Duke and Duchess of Enoch? He must swear not to tell anyone about it. Let it be sworn between them. They started with the little fingers of their hands. Okay, agreed Akkad. Does Laviette really like his teary face? Oh, finally, she can sleep with Akkad, the girl rejoiced, crawling into bed. Is Akkad asleep yet? He didn't even take off his gloves. She reached for her gloves, and he stood up in an instant. What was wrong with him? He always held her hand during the day. Is it because she said she was hurt? She can take his hand quietly, and they can go to sleep. Will he not allow you to hold hands now? But she wants to hold hands in her sleep. He remembered the words of his cousin who had said, did he think she would not be frightened at the sight of his terrible hands? Today he has very ugly hands. He doesn't want her to see this ugliness. She will not like to be seen. The girl was surprised. Who told him that? How did he get his tongue back? The boy looked at his friend in surprise. It's the first time he's seen Laviette so angry. And he admitted that his cousin told him this. Who else is this? Cade Courtney. He is older than him by 2 years. They learned fencing together. After guessing, Lavi grabbed her head. It means that it was because of this annoying fly that she could not meet with Akkad. Cousin Cade. She tried to remember if there was anything about him in the novel. She doesn't remember. First, let him tell her exactly what he said to him. He told everything. But she cannot understand something. Akkad is no weakling at all. He is just kind. Besides, what about the fact that he has pink hair, but any clothes suit him? As for height, everything is clear. He is shorter because he is still small. He will grow up, she is sure. His brother told him that she would be scared if she saw his hands. How funny he is. How can he talk about her with such confidence if he doesn't even know her? The boy really agreed. So she doesn't hate him? Poor Akkad. He must have believed in this delusion. She doesn't hate him. On the contrary, she wants to take him for herself and live with him. It won't work like that. Let Akkad rise at once. Today she will sleep in his room. Is he at home? Asked the boy in surprise. Yes, she can't wait to see his face. Does she want to see what Cade looks like? Why? No! He grabbed her hand. No need. She yanked her arm away and he fell. Good thing they're in bed. They could get injured. He accidentally covered her with himself. He doesn't want her to see him, the girl asked. He answered in the affirmative. Do not need. Cade, the eldest son of Earl Courtney, is always liked by everyone who meets him on his way. A well-behaved child with a pleasant hair color and a beautiful smile. He skillfully wields a sword and is also successful in his studies. If not for the power of Akkad, then the word gifted would have been added to it. Even if he is rude to him, he will still be a good and sweet boy to others. He doesn't care if other people like him. Why doesn't she have to? Asked the girl. Akkad doesn't want Laviette to have the same opinion about Cade as everyone else, he thought, but didn't say anything. And then he said sadly that he didn't know, he just didn't want to. Can they just sleep here? Akkad grabbed her skirt, laying on her arm. Oh, probably all he could do was cry. So kind. If they sleep here today, then they will still sleep at his place. But instead he will sleep without gloves, and the girl stuck her finger under his glove. And suddenly her face expressed horror. He must be in a lot of pain, she said, holding his hand gently. He apologized. She hates to look at his wounds. No, she was upset because the wounds looked serious. Why can't Akkad heal himself? Will he be in so much pain every time if he continues to practice fencing? The girl looked sadly at the pen and asked him not to hide his hands. It's a testament to his hard work, and she thinks his hands are beautiful. She was already saying that she wanted to know more about him and took his sick hand in a lock. Okay, he replied, looking into his friend's eyes. And it's actually not as painful as it seems. He is interested in fencing. She is glad because she was worried that he does not get any pleasure from this activity. No, he likes everything and is told that he's doing well. She won't believe it until she sees it with her own eyes. The girl laughed. But it's true, assured Akkad. He likes fencing so much that she can't even ask him to stop. Well done. Let him work hard to give up if someone offends him. The boy blushed and looked at her happily. He promised, It is difficult, painful, but he will try his best. Like this small, weak child, Laviette is like the sun. He does it because he wants to protect her. A couple of days later, Lavi dressed in a short red dress with short sleeves. She said that today they will be at his house, but he wanted to eat dessert at her place today. The next day, she walked with him by the hand and asked, maybe today. He apologized for wanting to take her for a walk in the garden today. And the next day, too. Is it true today, too? Not either. What is it? Why doesn't he want to? A month later, Laviette asked Alan to open the library to her. Is there a book she's looking for? Asked the knight. Yes, there is one similar to the one she needs. He refuses her again and again. At this rate, she will never see that child's face. The girl frowned. Another plan must be applied. The knight asked what book she was looking for. Maybe she is interested in fairy tales or something else. She is looking for an aristocratic lineage. Alan's mouth fell open in surprise. He was very surprised at her request. She asked to bring a dictionary and ink. If Akka does not allow her to meet Cade, then she will contact him herself. The girl enthusiastically picked up the pen. She will challenge him to a duel with a letter. Laviette couldn't think of a way to begin. To young Mr. Courtney sounds too friendly. To cousin Akkad, no way. Suddenly he still has a cousin. If you start with the question of how a person is doing, it is too straightforward. Tell about the weather and carefully reveal the reason for the invitation? What kind of delusion? Why use so much effort? But she will knock him down with one blow. Something like that, in her opinion, would be more appropriate in this situation. As far as she knows, he is so good in front of adults, even if you spread it on bread. But only next to Akkad he behaves insolently. She plunged the knife into Cade's portrait. It is necessary to prepare well so that she can take him to clean water. She hates to know that Akkad has been listening to all this abuse. Looks like she'll need something comfortable to wear when the guest arrives. In secular society, it is customary to dress beautifully and look at everyone with some contempt, but she is different. And it is better not to wear jewelry because they can interfere with her, thought the girl. She will also need to do her hair so that her hair does not get in the way, and better to wear trousers. It would be nice to win in hand-to-hand combat, but it is unlikely. So what better way to make him hit her and earn a bruise? Then the brother or Duke and Duchess Enoch will drive him out themselves. Maybe just fight him verbally? Has he already drunk the Purgena? Although not, it is better not to touch such topics. What was she thinking about all this time? Alan asked. Don't make fun of your hair like that. She asked how you can beat a person not too hard. What? Does she want to learn to defend herself? Well, you can say that. She probably doesn't need to learn it. because she has him, her knight. Who knows, maybe someone in the mansion will get her, laughed the girl. Alan apologized and took her in his arms. Did something like that happen to her? He asked worriedly. As if he does not see any injuries. If it's somewhere he can't see, he can call Jenny. No, it's not like that at all. It's just that something like this can happen in the future. He asked to tell about it in more detail. It's a little not what she expected. She took Alan by the cheeks and asked him to calm down. Nothing happened. She is asked just in case. Okay, he got it. And now she's asking him to put her down. She's really fine. She made a remark to Alan that this was over with custody. He lowered her to the floor, took hold of her head. Could Miss come over there? Okay. He took her hand and clenched it into a fist. He explained that she wouldn't be able to hit someone hard if she didn't try. If she has no choice, she can strain her whole body and do something like this, and it was not bad. But when she hits someone, she can fall, losing her balance. What? Fall? Is it self-defense for sure? He usually uses his legs to keep his balance. She understood him, because her problems with her legs can be on a level ground. Oh, why is everything so hard with this body? She will go to copy the letter. If it will be a man, then she can simply between the legs. Alan stopped. What did he just say? He said he made a reservation by accident. She looks slumped over, so in any case, don't worry. He would do everything so that she would not have to use any such actions. Therefore, let him reject this idea of learning self-defense. Alan knelt before her and touched her hands. Okay, she got him. Hitting a man between the legs, yes, that will be quite enough. He is glad that she understood everything. When the urn was filled with drafts, she was already satisfied with her letter. She finished. Now it will be necessary to give Jenny to send the letter. Alan went to get a snack. Suddenly, Lavi accidentally dropped her books. As always, everything falls out of her hands. Bending down to pick it up, she saw the genealogical tree of the royal family. One of the books opened to a family tree in which there is Prince Felix and the Crown Prince Jackrit. These two factions will clash in the future. The main character and her brother, Werner, will be at the epicenter of events. In the end, the brother joins forces with Prince Felix. They will win over the Crown Prince Jackrid and Salome, who will quarrel because of political discord. Her in this. He will go to war very young, and other people's blood will be spilled on his hands. This is very difficult to imagine, given the current nature of Akkad. Duke and Duchess Enoch love and worry about Akkad. How could they send their only son to the battlefield? Why doesn't she remember anything about such important moments from the novel? She grabbed her head. She feels a big difference between the novel she read and the current situation. Sometimes it seems to her that in reality this ominous future could turn out to be a dream, maybe just a child's fantasy. If it wasn't all true, she would be happy. For example, the stormy future of the brother, the unfortunate fate of Akkad. She wants to stop worrying about her future, and to know that she will be able to live to the moment when she becomes an adult. A letter from the mansion of Marcus Dees arrived at the Enoch estate. What it is? Akkad was surprised. Recently, he often came uninvited. Both boys were sitting at the table. Akkad asked to give him the letter, but this time the recipient is not him, but Mr. Cade. The boy was very surprised, and Cade's tomato fell out of his mouth. Cade Courtney, the son of the Count, was mentioned in the letter. He could not read the letter because Akkad was following him. Is he so interested in what is written there? It's just that he also needs to go in that direction, explained Akkad. Here's how. Then he would read it alone because Miss Diaz had sent the letter to him. Akkad was upset. He had been looking down on Cade lately. Now he understood his place. The cousin looked at him defiantly. How he worries about some piece of paper. It's interesting to watch. Oh, his throat is dry. If someone brings him a glass of lemonade, maybe he will show him the letter. The boy winked. Akkad fell silent. I thought about lemonade and went to get it. The girl in the kitchen told him that he could safely ask the maids to bring it to him. She took a big knife and a giant lemon. The boy explained that he was just on his way. She made lemonade with ice. She advised, when going down, let him go by the western stairs because she heard that the central stairs were rubbed with wax. The boy thanked. Did he seriously bring lemonade? Cade was sitting in a chair with a letter. Akkad said that he brought it because he complained that his throat was dry. Oh, really? Is he incapable of learning, or does he have such a bad memory? Cade dropped a glass of lemonade on purpose, and it spilled. He will not drink anything that a fool like him serves him. The letter said that she no longer needed Akkad. Even Miss Diaz knows he's a useless jerk, Cade said. If he wants to read the letter, he wishes him luck, and he scattered scraps of the letter in a puddle on the floor. He turned around and left satisfied. If he wants to dispute it, it can be resolved through sparring. But this time he's definitely going to win, Cade said as he stood in the doorway. But he is not sure that there will be enough opportunities in Akkad. Akkad's eyes became cold as steel. Fists clenched. How could he tear up what Laviette had given him? Does he hate Akkad that much? I remembered the conversation with the Duke. As his father said, he would like to be his brother. However, he continues to desire what he cannot give him: status, place, and even Laviette. He said that he would wait for him at the fencing ground. And this way lies through the central stairs. He rushed to the stairs and asked Cade to wait. He asked why wait for him. In any case, he's obviously just scared of him, so he stops him. "That's not the point," shouted the boy. "If he wants to say something, let him come down," Cade grumbled, and immediately he slipped. Falling down, he grabbed his knees and cried that it hurt. What's wrong with these stairs? He understood that Akkad knew, and he said that he didn't, he just wanted to help. Don't lie. He specifically said it too late because he wanted to see how he would fall through some torn piece of paper. He'd be lying if he said he hesitated. But Cade? He hates him for everything he does. So he said he was right. He knew about it. "I just forgot to say because he has memory problems," said the boy. "He's had enough. He won't be friendly with him anymore." The Diaz estate turned gray because the summer rain had dripped down, drumming on the leaves. The girl was crying because she was in terrible pain, and her muscles and bones hurt because of the rain. She hopes Cade got the letter. "Who is there?" she asked after hearing a knock on the door. Waking up, she saw her friend. The boy stood all wet and crying. "What is he doing here so late? Why are all his clothes wet? Why did he go out into the rain?" The girl was worried. Alan said he was chasing a towel, and at the same time, Akkad embraced Laviette. "She shouldn't hate him," the boy cried, hugging his friend tightly. Cade asked his father why he had to put up with this. He is sure that Akkad did it on purpose so that he would not go to the Diaz family. The boy complained, leaning on a crutch. "After the leg heals, he will write Diaz, although it is better to forget." "Why?" The little one was indignant. Would it not be worthy of them to establish a relationship with the Marquis? He could handle it better than Akkad. Father shouted to him to shut up. "They are in the Duke's place. What if someone will hear them?" Courtney shouted over his shoulder. Cade flushed with anger. A dumb question froze on his face. "Don't worry," Courtney assured his son. "This does not mean that he has given up. Everything has its time." "What is the matter?" asked the girl, looking at the tea. There must be some reason why he came in the middle of the night and said that. The boy sat in pink ruffled pajamas and sadly finished his drink. Besides, it happened right after she sent Cade the invitation. Is it because of his brother? The boy silently placed the cup on the table. Because Cade said she didn't need him anymore. Does it need? To begin with, you need to choose the right words. She told Akkad to listen carefully. She doesn't hate him, it's true, and she will never hate him. Never, yes, never, the girl confirmed. Why did he think she hated him? And she looked at him with her blue eyes. And he was confused and did not know what to answer. It's just, somehow he was so slow to answer, wasn't he? He said he liked Laviette. She replied that she liked him too, thinking that he did make her say that. "Does she like him too?" asked the boy with satisfaction. How this charming smile suits him. He smiles so much. Laviette fell in love. "And if he does something she hates?" asked Akkad. "How many more times should she repeat? She will not hate him." Holding hands, the children walked down the corridor, the boy holding a lantern. Is it true? So. His main problem is endless kindness, and he is worried about everything in the world. She decided to revise her plan. She wanted to do the best for Akkad, but in the end, he only suffers more. If she makes that fool cry, she will be very happy. The boy was holding a bright, colorful wreath in his hand. Laviette called. She asked in surprise if he had done it himself. What a beauty. He said that indeed he did. He thought he would look great on her. Compared to her, Akkad is simply amazing. Laviette asked him to bend over and put a flower in his hair. Why does he need it? The girl put on a wreath. It really suited her very well. It would be nice if they wore them together. Isn't it? The girl was beaming with pleasure from her prank. She likes that you don't need to do anything special with Akkad to feel good. One day they settled down in sunny weather under an umbrella and read a book together. Another time they fell asleep to the sound of rain, leaning on each other. And all these days they held hands. Nights passed without horrors. And she thought that this pacification would last forever. But after 2 great seasons, something happened. "Lovey, where did she go?" The knight was looking for her. The maid laughed. "It seems he has a lot of work again today. It's true. It's worth turning away for a second. She's nowhere to be found. He has to take care of her health. And as a result, only he gets old. Nevertheless, everything goes in its own way," laughed the maid. Jenny's cheeks turned pink, and she added that looking at Lavi, she couldn't believe that she had health problems, as they said before. She grew up, gained weight, and even the tone of her face became better. She became even more beautiful. As she thought, nothing is visible. Laviette looked into the distance, but why does she not even hear anything that is happening there? She reached for the wall. Akkad asked her to be more careful so she wouldn't get hurt. It's not fair. He can see what's going on there. She wants to see how the festival goes. Therefore, she will climb over the fence. "She can't," said the boy. "She needs permission to leave the mansion. She knows it herself." "Akkad has changed so much," the girl remarked. "She has been playing with him in the yard for 2 years. That's why it's very boring for her to be here now." She remembered how often they ran around the lawn holding hands. She was tired of the routine, and during this time, Akkad became taller and more mature. "There is nothing interesting at the festival," the boy assured. "It's just that high-ranking people from other countries lay flowers. If she wants to see something, she can tell him. He will tell her." He hooked a purple rose with a red bow from the lapel of his camisole over her breast. "She would like to see something." "And this," she said, holding his hands. "Then, if they don't go anywhere, maybe play something?" If he is asked for something, he quickly surrenders and agrees. Okay, what does she want to play with? The girl noted that he is very cute, especially when he blushes. Hide and seek, does he agree? The girl looked at him slyly. Her cheeks were also rosy. She asked him to go to the tree, turn away and start counting. When he counted to 20, he asked if she had already gone into hiding. She said not yet. She laughed to herself. How naive he is. She knew that he would disturb her, so she prepared in advance. Just once, and then she'll come back and take Akkad's hand. The girl looked out through the hole in the wall. Akkad will be very surprised if she brings him something bought on the street, the girl imagined, handing him some street delicacies. She imagines how cute his expression will be. Every day she sees the same landscapes. The shadow of anxiety disappeared. She felt her body enveloped in warmth. It felt like she was in a dream. She will take a look and come back. The girl put on a raincoat, but how wrong she was. They found Miss. How is she feeling? They asked in lava. So loud. Where is she? Is she at home? Someone asked to call the pontiff. She has a very serious bleeding. It is necessary to carry a hemostatic agent and a bandage. The maid ran for the bandage. Yes, she will bring everything now. Why does everyone have such a strange expression on their faces? Thought the girl. She was covered in blood. Her head is splitting from this scream. She wants to tell them to shut up, but she can't even move a finger. What did this child do to them? Mother cried. Werner asked her to calm down. Lavi will be fine. Akkad was asked to leave the premises. But can he see Lavi for a second? He asked the knight. She's not conscious yet, so it's better to come next time. He can't look at her because she's in such a bad state, the boy asked. Now the pontiffs will come to help her, so he had better go, said the knight. Alan apologized for what happened earlier. The boy stood sullenly. Akkad began to walk towards the carriage without hesitation, slurping. He blamed himself for this whole situation. A few hours earlier, he had tried to find Lavi but couldn't. He shouted that she could go out, amazingly. They agreed not to hide indoors. He walked along the wall and suddenly saw a hole in it below. Really? A guess dawned on him. Lavi went beyond the territory of the estate? When he ran and told her mother about it, she broke the cup in surprise. When did it happen? She asked. He said until about 2 hours ago. He waited because he thought she was just joking and apologizing. No, what is he? She thanks him for what he told her. She thinks she hasn't gone far. That's why you shouldn't worry. The woman hugged the boy. Does Jenny know what clothes Miss left in? Asked the knight. The maid said she was wearing a cape with white pom-poms. She remembered it because she bought it only a week ago. Witnesses say that they saw her in backyards in the city center. The boy anxiously kept his hands locked. Due to the fact that it is a festival, there are a lot of people there. If only she did not meet bad people in the capital. It is necessary to increase the number of search contracts. He will also run to look for her, the knight promised. Akkad asked to take him with him. He told about the festival. Besides, he knows how she was dressed, so he will be able to help, the boy said hopefully. You can't, it's dangerous for him there, said the knight. Don't worry, said Akkad. He knows the capital well and skillfully wields a sword. No, this task should be left to the knights, replied the knight sternly. No matter how strong Akkad is, the fact that they are the ones who have to defend Miss cannot be changed. Now he is not yet in a position to protect her. He won't be able to help, so he better go home. It is necessary to entrust this duty to the knights, repeated Alan. A squad of 5 knights gathered. But Akkad wants to protect Lavi so much. He can't do anything, lamented the boy, holding onto his sword. If only he was a knight too. At first, Laviette did not find anything unusual. And what is there outside? Thought the girl. She could smell and hear chanting on the other side of the wall, and everyone could be there, except her. Lavi reached there with her hand. She felt greedy for not being able to be there. It was not enough for her to just be told how everything looks there. She wanted to see and discuss everything in person. She understood that they would not let her in because it was dangerous there. Therefore, I decided to go there myself for a short time and return. But when she got out, someone grabbed her, covering her mouth so she couldn't scream. She didn't think it would turn out like this. Her face, hands, everything was bandaged. The boy looked at her and cried bitterly. She asked Akkad not to cry. He held her hand and asked to forgive him that he did not immediately understand how soon he would follow her. Tears rolled from his eyes like hail. She said it was a good thing he wasn't there. He is so beautiful that he would be stolen immediately. It was so scary outside. This is completely different from what she heard at the mansion. The boy was kneeling by the bed and holding her hand. He said he would take off his gloves now and heal Lavi. No, don't let him do that, the girl stopped him. The boy was sobbing. Why? Is she angry with him? She is to blame for the fact that everything turned out this way. How can she be angry with him? Then why did she do it? Let him take his hand. She doesn't want him to use his powers over such a small thing. The wound will heal itself quickly. He needs to hide his ability, said the girl. He looked at her dumbfounded. But she is in a lot of pain. He does not want her to suffer. And he fell on the bed, shedding tears. Can a person be so kind? The girl wondered. For her, Akkad was just one of the characters in the novel, but he treats her like a very close friend. She dragged him everywhere with her so that he would just heal her. Enough crying. She stroked his pink braids. He already cried all he could. Don't worry. Laviette looked a bit like a mummy because of the number of bandages. She will handle it, she continued, stroking her friend's head. A priest will come to her tomorrow, and that's all. Lava's mouth bled. The boy was frightened by this. She said that you shouldn't make an elephant out of a fly because of a scratch. He asked again for her to let him help her. No, she was already done with this conversation. Besides, she doesn't think Akkad can easily cure her. Can he help at least her lips? The boy said this and blushed. The girl looked at her friend in surprise. Does he want to cure only the lips? He lowered his eyes in shame. His cheeks were pink. The girl refused and said that it would be better if he brought her the ointment. He was annoyed, upset, but agreed. He brought the ointment and suggested that he anoint her. He took too much ointment at once, and the girl joked that he understood that it was not strawberry jam, but ointment. It was uncomfortable for her to speak with her lips parted, and she mechanically covered them with her hand. He rushed to caress her lips. How exactly did he want to do it? Asked the girl. The fact is that when my mother was injured, he explained, my father did this to my mother, and she quickly recovered. How so? Asked the girl. The boy blushed to the tips of his ears. She scoffed, not understanding what he meant. Maybe he would explain normally before she got angry? Well, in the lips. The distraught boy could not explain until now. He was all red and hot. How she likes him, thought the girl. They seem to be in trouble if he happens upon someone handsome and offers to kiss him, so that he doesn't do that again. At such rates, no one will be able to resist such a temptation. In any case, don't tell anyone like that again. Let him wait until she gives him permission to do so. But if he touches the wound, it will heal right away, objected the boy. The girl turned away and covered herself with a blanket. Said she would let them see each other when she was better. It will be necessary to teach him everything, she thought. The boy looked around. Used bandages were everywhere. He was very sad and cried. He saw Laviette sleeping and reached out to heal her, but he doubted and took it back. He mentally told Lavi to forgive him. He, as an Omoga, will soon become stronger and become the one who can protect her. The boy promised himself this and put his fist to the solar plexus. Autumn has come. She obviously felt better. It became clear that her right eye was in place. The connection has decreased. She seems to have dreamed something because she had a fever. She dreamed of a couple. A girl with long brown hair, a guy with a dark face, her brother. The brother came with a bandage. She thought that her brother would not worry. She wouldn't die because of a fool, and opened her eyes and looked at him. She will not allow Akkad to lose a friend today. Suddenly, the maid came and woke her up, apologizing for it. She needs a bandage. The girl looked at her in surprise. This little wound has already taken hold, Jenny noticed. So, Laviette is very grateful to Jenny. But what kind of dream was it? Did she start to remember the novel because she got sick? It seems that in a dream she was going somewhere and saw her friend in the city. It definitely has something to do with Akkad. She seems to have a headache. Laviette wrapped both arms around her. The girl said that she must go to Akkad and grabbed hold of the maid. What is she talking about? Jenny was surprised. Werner told her to stay in the room until she was fully recovered. This is important now. We need to hurry, she doesn't have time, pleaded the girl, standing on her knees and holding the maid's apron. She has to meet Akkad. She remembered why Akkad went to war at the age of 16. A few years later, Uncle Akkad will kill Duke and Duchess Enoch and arranges it as if there was an accident with a carriage, and he will become the head of the family so that his son will become the legal heir. He will send his legitimate descendant, Akkad, to war. There was a knock at the door and a request to enter Lavi. Did something happen to her today? Werner asked. She barely calmed down, the maid explained. Miss suddenly began to cry and look for Akkad. Can she now tell what happened? She asked her brother if he could do whatever she wanted for her. Of course. What does she want? Asked the brother. How far can he go? As much as it will be in his power, answered Werner. In general, she is serious. He is also serious. Does Lavi not trust his brother? Actually, she thought, she doesn't believe it. And she pulled the blanket closer to her. It's good to be the main character. You are healthy. You have strength. You can do a lot. The guy smiled restrainedly. He had a confident look. Regardless of the fact that he has a beautiful wife, he eventually enjoyed an affair with the first emperor, Lavi was convinced. And someone can die without even having time to start a relationship. Why is she looking at him like that? Being a 9-year-old is so hard she can't even do anything, Grandpa. Werner shouted. Laviette, where did she come up with such words? He currently serves in the Imperial Palace. If his strength is not enough, he can ask his father to help her. He swore in the name of Diaz that he would do whatever he could for her. Therefore, let him ask for anything. Indeed? The girl turned to him. Even if she asks him to get rid of some? Lavi knelt down. The brother was stunned. Her eyes widened. She worried if she was too hasty in saying that. Is she asking him to get rid of Akkad? Asked the boy. What? No. Then good. He already thought that they had quarreled and laughed. But does anyone go that far in an argument? Then who should get rid of? Well, then she will tell. Okay. He would wait for her to tell him. And she noticed that her brother doesn't share all his secrets with her either. He has nothing to tell her. Nothing, indeed? And if before the arranged marriage? Who said that to Lavi? She immediately tells him that it is not necessary to sit on 2 chairs at once. You must respect and treat your spouse with care, even if it is a marriage of convenience. Because... And suddenly she hit herself on the lips with her hand. She herself did not notice how she spoke. How quickly she got tired. Going to sleep. On 2 chairs, a marriage of convenience. Don't worry. He promised that he would not do anything like that. With a sweet smile, Werner wished her good night. She looked at him thinking that he was so kind now. But why is he so frivolous in the novel? She asked if he wanted to go to bed. He said yes, but his sister is so cute. He began to worry about her, and offered to sleep together today. She said no, it's inconvenient. She may die from it if he fights in the spring. Well, to sleep with him for a little bit. She imagined how it would be. She thinks it's disgusting. Well, this is already too much. Werner was indignant. She sleeps with Akkad. Well, what does too much mean? With Akkad, everything is different. Then at least kiss him for the night. No, the girl refused. She asked if her brother knew when she thought he was the best, and looked at him conspiratorially. When he is discreetly silent. Does this mean that she never thinks of him as such? Exactly. She mentally begged not to destroy the idea of the main characters. Coming out, the brother saw the night. He asked if he could find out why the miss was crying. What? The brother was surprised. Has he been eavesdropping behind the door all this time? The knight apologized. He is just very worried about Miss. He understands his feelings. But he didn't want to put Lavi in an awkward position by asking something she didn't want to answer, his brother explained. Because it is enough for him that she is simply alive. His younger sister has been thinking about how she will wither since birth, and not about what bright future she can expect. Her body does not accept food well, and there were days when it was difficult for her to even breathe. When the servants discussed among themselves that if it was quiet today, maybe she would feel a little better. But everything became much more serious. She does not even have the strength to cry. Who knows? Maybe this is her last day. He remembered that conversation and how he was afraid of losing his sister. He begged God to save Laviette. It will be a shame if she dies like this without having time to do anything. At the same time, he made a vow in the temple that he would do everything in his power and cherish her more than anyone. He asked that Lavi not be taken away. In the spring, she gets cold from the light wind, and in the summer, she can have a temperature from the hot sun. In autumn and winter, she hardly gets out of bed. This world seems to be harming Lava, but then something changed. Does the brother have a person he likes? Laviette once asked. Her eyes began to glow. Every time he sees those eyes that seem to scream that they want to live, he wants to do something for her. It's too late. Is he still working? Asked the knight Werner. Yes, he had to leave the palace early, so he did not have time to check some documents. And he still needs to review the donation to the temple. These wishes, which he made in childhood, remain unchanged to this day. As long as Lavi is in this world, he will do anything for her. If she is weak and unable to live a normal life, he will simply create a safe world for her. She asked about arranged marriage. He thought about it. Children of aristocrats rarely go to war at a young age, unless the guardian himself is sent or punished by the imperial family. After the death of the Duke and Duchess, Enoch, the uncle, instead of Akkad, who will be still very young at that time, becomes the head of the family. However, he still could not change the successor chosen by the previous head of the family. Therefore, the emperor's will, the emperor's approval was necessary for this. And then the new head of the family had an idea, to send Akkad to war to die there. And then he will make his son the heir. The girl was simply giddy with thoughts about it. She couldn't even find words for all these idiots. She was very angry. She will also show them where the crayfish spend the winter. Why is this Miss Laviette so rude? And where did she learn it? Alan asked, seeing that she had thrown a book on the floor. She didn't expect anyone to hear her. She just said, "Oh." She herself does not know. If someone finds out about this, she will be upset. By the way, it's time for her to go. And indeed, confirmed the knight, Akkad is due today. A friend came with a bouquet and shyly hid it behind his back. The girl was very happy for Akkadov and rushed to meet him. Does Lavi feel much better? Said the boy, moving the bouquet in front of him. She rushed to him with open arms. Yes, now he can look at her in peace. He said Lavi is always beautiful. Then she was covered in bruises and blood. Extending his hand to her, the boy asked with hope, "Does this mean that now they will be able to hold hands again?" He seems to be worried about it. Laviette said yes, of course. The children hugged. She thought, what? He wanted to hold hands, not hug. And he blushed and said that he had to tell her something. She said once she feels better, she offers to talk about it during a walk. She had waited so long for his arrival. She has a long list of things she wants to do with him. He said he's sorry, but he doesn't think they can do it together. The girl was stunned. He will go to the place. His expression expressed a mixture of emotions, sadness, determination, and hope. So, in order to be officially knighted, he needs to train in a place? Lavi asked as they sat in the living room. He sat sad and unhappy, folding his hands in a castle. Yes, my father had a lot of things to do there. The girl asked when he would return. Akkad replied that he did not know yet, but it was already time for him to leave tomorrow. Laviette was surprised. How, already? Why so suddenly? The boy just said, "I'm sorry," and looked excited. Lavi could not believe that she would have to divorce Akkad. She wanted to stay with him until marriage. But Akkad's abilities do not belong to her. She should support him as a friend, the good side of her essence told her. And evil hinted that she had just gotten out of bed. Where had her strategy gone? That her life was her top priority. The girl asked if he would go himself. Yes, so what? Or that fool, that is, the cousin, who shouted that he would not leave it like this, due to the fact that the lessons stopped due to differences of opinion. Akkad said that his brother will not go with him. Cade leaves for his place. Clear. She is glad that he is moving away from these relatives. There was still plenty of time left before that tragedy. She would need to learn more while Akkad was gone. The girl plunged into thought, closed her eyes, and folded her arms on her chest. She asked me to write to her, and at least 3 pages. He promised to do so, and asked that Lavi also correspond only with him. He looked at her curiously. Blush played on his cheeks. Of course, does she have someone else? One way or another, it seems that Akkad has already decided on his dream. And what does she do? All this time she thought only about how to survive. Enter the imperial palace as Werner? Suggested the boy. The girl stretched, yawning sweetly. No, it's so boring. Just thinking about it makes her fall asleep. Then maybe together with him? With him? Asked the girl. He raised his hands warningly and blushed. Well, he can be knighted and she be his lady. A knight and a lady, the girl imagined them as an adult couple. He romantically holds her hand, looks into her eyes. She laughed. So he will be her knight. Yes, answered the boy seriously. She just came up with something, took a rose. She approached him, touching his left shoulder with a rose. She asked if Akkad Enoch would swear to become her knight. He blushed deeply. Yes, it will become Lady Laviette Diaz's sword. Akkad left the next day. In the evening, when the girl was looking through the open wrought iron gate at the departing carriage, the brother told Lava that she had to go. She waved after the carriage. Suddenly she felt an emptiness. She sadly lowered her eyes and took her brother's hand. Laviette asked her brother what she must do to become a lady. In response, he asked, what had suddenly come over her? Is everything okay in Akkad? He's been there longer than she thought. How can he not visit her for a whole year? Thought the girl, stretching in bed. Doesn't he want to see her? She sat down to write a letter. Perhaps after these words he will not want to come to her? The girl put down her pen and scratched her head. Is he still learning how to wield a sword? Did you get more calluses on your hands? When will it pass? She was curious about how he was training, so she quietly took the wooden sword from Alan. But as a result, her wrist caught fire. Because of this, priests came to her several times. Despite the fact that the wound is not serious, it heals very slowly, the healer noted. Werner asked if a better priest could be invited. It will be difficult to find someone better, answered the servant of God. Even priests from other countries came to them. Her health was like this from the very beginning. In addition, Miss was badly injured last year. Maybe it's because of that, the knight whispered in Werner's ear. However, you need to search more thoroughly. The priest promised that he would try. He himself is in debt to the Diaz family. The girl looked at him curiously. Compared to Akkad, the priests are swindlers and swindlers. Why are days so boring without Akkad and time flies so slowly? She is already waiting. Can't wait for them to meet in the warm season and play something. The girl imagined them lying on the grass. It's always so cozy with him. By the way, my brother is also fine. He is still very busy with work. The brother is so tall and handsome, but he doesn't seem to be dating anyone. So don't worry. And she didn't finish the letter because the maid called her to class. The girl obediently left. I said hello to Mrs. Oscar. The tutor was angry that Miss Diaz was late. She strictly raised the pointer. And Laviette looked at her defiantly. The teacher told her not to raise her elbows too high. She demanded to redo everything again and again, hitting her hands with an index finger. The cup is very heavy, said the girl. She asked if she could take the cup she usually used. No, this estate has light dishes for her. However, she cannot show off her manners when she finds herself in another mansion. And again she hit the cup with her index finger. But the wrist hurts. The teacher was angry. No whining. Gotta do it again. The girl was begging for someone to save her. I asked my brother how to radiate elegance without even lifting a finger. It's very simple. She has a bright example in front of her. She is sure that it is definitely not about him. Lessons difficult? Does she want to drop out? The girl thought. There are many people here who want to disgrace her name. She shouldn't give them a chance to do that. She recalled Miss Austen's advice. No, she will try to go to classes. Then he should reward her for her honesty. The girl looked questioningly at her brother. This is what she asked him to do, and he handed her the notes. He should have said it right away. The girl grabbed a stack of papers and began to read with interest. Soon after Akkad's departure, she asked her brother to find out why the Earl of Courtenay was trying so hard to take the Duke's place. This is not the kind of information you can tell a child, but he got down to business anyway. In the end, he had to agree to some strange conditions to get him to do so. What does it all mean? These are simply illegal actions taken while running the guild. Is this all that was found out? Yes, she was so worried about it. So he approached the matter carefully, but he didn't dig up anything. Well, there must be something. Couldn't he find anything? What can you expel or kill for? The biggest thing they get for this is a fine. He will not be able to personally deal with this business, because he can't enter the Duke's estate like that. It's a mess. It will be difficult to approach him without any reason and evidence. After all, this person is an ally of Enoch. As he had said before, he didn't want Lavi to worry about it, to talk about death or banishment. The brother got down on one knee in front of the girl, took her by the shoulders and looked straight into her eyes. She asked if he could continue to search for information. Well, it's not that difficult, but he would like to get what she promised him before he asks for another request. The brother laughed. What? He laughed. What? She doesn't remember anything. She licked herself and he said, clear. Then he himself will receive a reward. A kiss on the lips. She rehearsed so he wouldn't make her laugh. They agreed on a kiss on the cheek. Yeah, caught it. She has no memory problems. But it is not so ugly because she is already 10 years old. She was long past the age to do this to him. It doesn't matter if she is 9 or 10. Lavi will always be his sweet little sister. This is unfair to the brother who waited so long for a kiss. What is he about? What kind of facial expression? Once he does that, he won't stop. To peck him on the cheek just once. Will not. She will now call Alan. Then he will not listen to her new request. Trouble. Alan came in. Did Lavi call him? Werner told Alan not to worry. Lavi was just wishing him a good night. And Alan does not think so. Please do not disturb the missus too much. But it just disappears like that. It even fell to the floor. Lavi spammed and jumped out. If he continues in the same spirit, she will hate him, Alan warned. Werner knows, but if she was disgusted, she would have kicked it long ago, even if she broke her toe. And that's true, agreed Alan. He gives the knight permission to go to class with Lavi. He wants him to accompany her to Mrs. Austen's tutoring. Alan agreed, but he doesn't know much about etiquette. It's not scary, reassured Werner. Can someone else be the escort? You don't have to worry about it. He needs to do everything as usual. What a fool! He has no idea what humiliation she has to go through while he is gone. The girl's thoughts were confused. Oh, and how can the main character behave? She is grateful that he listened to her request without asking why. But she begged the heavens for Akkad to come as soon as possible. But despite her will, Akkad did not return to the capital. 2 weeks later, the Diaz family estate. Lavi asked Jenny if she had to wear it. She apologizes, but the Countess insisted that she wear a dress today. Can it be weakened a little? Yes, she has nothing to breathe. Now she has pain not only in her wrist, but also in her whole body. It seems that the Countess has arrived. She is never late. The girl looked out the window. A carriage stood in front of the entrance to the estate, and Alan helped the Countess out of it. Suddenly she noticed that Alan was very close to her. What are these people doing now? Said the girl. They are still in close communication with each other, explained Jenny. That is, this is not the first time they are doing something like this. Didn't she know? Alan has lately begun to accompany the Countess. Indeed, the teacher asked Alan if he would continue to stand here. Let him not pay attention to him, replied the knight. Come to think of it, he has been participating in their classes for some time. Really? Guessed the girl. But he is interested in the Countess. She looked blankly in front of herself with anxiety. How many more times should Miss Diaz repeat that it is not beautiful to look so intently at others? Explained the Countess, holding a pointer in her hands. The girl put her hand behind her back and apologized. Miss Dees still has a lot to learn in terms of etiquette. The girl looked menacingly at the tutor. Oh, I wish Alan would meet someone kinder. Sir Alan and Countess Austen? Well, if that is true, it would be very good for Sir Alan, thought the maid. Why? Asked the girl. If he marries a countess, he can get the status of a count. Yeah, that's it. Come to think of it, the title of Earl of Austen is currently vacant. Since Alan is also a noble, the countess can remarry him if they both want to. Then, let's continue the lesson. The girl was beaming, looking at the countess. At least Miss Austen seems very interested. Well, yes, but Alan is also handsome. Young, tender, reliable, handsome. Countess Austen pointed to the mountain and told Miss Laviette to stop laughing. Why is she so frivolous? Yes, yes. And she herself smiles slyly at Alan. Well, let him answer at least something. Okay, answered the girl. In front of her is the topic of today's lesson. There are beautiful blue shoes. She never wears such shoes. They have small heels. The countess put her hand on her side and said, Who knows when the moment will come when she will need to put on her shoes? Therefore, she needs to learn to walk in them so that she has a graceful gait. The point is, Laviette explained, that she's never going to wear shoes. The countess said you should never say never. Isn't she going to go to her debut or to a tea party? In her position, this is impossible, the girl thought. But if it were possible, she would like to. And put her foot in the shoe. Oh, how inconvenient. She felt like a jackass on heels. And now let him go a little, ordered the countess, indicating the way with a pointer. Okay, the girl tried. Austen peered at her through her glasses very seriously. And Alan was posing with green eyes with curiosity. She is happy. It seems that everything is going well for her. It's not so bad, the girl wanted to say, holding her skirt and looking over her shoulder. And the countess doesn't even look at her. She was looking at Alan. Oh, you have to be more patient because this is normal behavior for a young woman and man. And Miss Laviette has that smile again, the countess noticed, blushing. Hadn't she already made a remark to her? Said the woman strictly. The girl said that Mrs. had just hit her and grabbed her arm. What did she just do? Alan shouted, standing between the girl and the tutor. Don't get Alan wrong. This kind of behavior is not good for Miss. Why was he so surprised by the little lesson? Asked the countess, putting her hand to her chest. He explained that she had no right to treat Lavi like that. It seems to him that the countess does not even listen to what she told her. Austen knows everything, but Laviette said her arm hurts, not her legs. Alan glared at the countess. Because of her, Alan quarrels with his beloved. The girl was angry with herself. She turned to him and motioned for him to stop. Now there is a lesson, and grabbed his hand. He said that their lesson was over for today. What? How can Alan afford such arrogance? Answered the countess. He has the right to make decisions regarding the activities of Miss. He knew that she liked to let loose, but he did not think that she would resort to violence. What is he talking about? What to let go of? The countess was indignant. She constantly touches other people, he said. Alan took Laviette on his shoulders. But he was the first to express his feelings. Countess Austen was angry. He said that he does not remember such a thing. Therefore, he does not understand why she came to such a conclusion. The girl thought that they should not have talked in her presence. The countess told him not to make her laugh. If he has no sympathy, why doesn't he look away during lessons? He looked at her in surprise and said that he was looking at Miss, and he was not looking at her, but at the pointer in her hand. He is a terrible person. After that, the whole mansion stood on its ears. That blow made my brother very angry. Werner shouted that the contract should be terminated immediately. This means that she will not do anything and will just lie down for days. This is a bit excessive. And her parents cried a lot because of worry for her. Mrs. Austen wanted to dispel rumors that Alan was a rude person. The girl asked them to calm down. The countess wanted her escort knight to challenge Alan to a duel. However, they were able to reassure her that she would continue to hold classes. Her contract fee was doubled. Laviette has been seeing Alan a lot lately. In her opinion, he is too soft. The knight was quite surprised. Yes, because he usually doesn't know how to say no. And it's easy to convince him, laughed the girl. He explained that he is like that only with her. What does he mean that she is to blame for everything? Well, something like that, he joked. Now Mrs. Austen is not so strict with her. However, her grumbling changed. If a man looks at her, it does not mean that he loves her. Such people simply flatter her and confuse her. Alan asked, "Is this something that should be taught in class?" "Of course, let him not interfere if he pleases." "Again, they are for their own," laughed the girl. She wondered what they were. The feelings of a man. Akkad also confused her. He is as good as Alan. That's why she didn't behave. She haughtily threw up her nose on her rosy face. I wonder if he will ever open up about his feelings for her brother. Maybe ask about it in the next letter. 5 years later, the estate of Duke Enoch. Welcome back, Akkad. He grew up, he came back with a real sword and in a long red cloak. So now it is correct to call him Sir Akkad? Asked his mother, and congratulated him. He thanked. It's all thanks to my mother's support. Is he already packing? Yes, the guy blushed. And with a smile, he said that he could not wait any longer. Did Alan know that lately there have been very strange rumors? On gloomy days, or in the blink of an eye, the apparition of a fair-haired young girl dressed in white appears, and she always has a strange smile on her face. Isn't that funny? She and Alan have never seen a ghost, although they always walk in gloomy weather. She looks like the girl from the rumors. Laviette does not even know through whom these rumors appeared, but she learned the truth. What? So she is the same ghost, but she is alive and well. The girl was indignant. This is all because it is hot in the summer, therefore they come out only in cloudy weather. From now on, she will go out even in hot weather with an umbrella. You can't, the knight objected. Had she forgotten how last month she had only walked for 30 minutes and passed out? She walked a lot today. So it's time to go back, said Alan. No, just a little more, Laviette persuaded Alan. She does not know when she will be able to walk again. The knight dutifully looked at his ward. For 5 years she had been adjusting to life without Akkad. Her physical condition was deteriorating day by day. Letters from Akkad came quite rarely. Maybe somehow it is necessary to go to the temple, suggested the girl. Soon she will turn 18. It's time to find a groom. Sometimes she despaired. It only got worse and she needed Akkad. But still she could not ask him to return to her. Alan said he thinks it's time to go back. Okay, the girl agreed. She knew that he was so kind and would run to her as soon as she asked. What? Never seen this carriage before. Is she heading towards their estate? It seems that this day has come, said the knight. What? Why is she not aware? Whose carriage is this? Alan smiled mysteriously. Salome family. Is it time for a marriage of convenience? She did not have time to come to her senses, as it had already happened. This means that brother... Alan took Laviette in his arms because she shouted that she had to go home quickly. This is a convenient position for movement. Despite Mrs. Interest, wouldn't it be better to see the guests a little later? She will still be officially presented later. But she said, go, immediately. Laviette sat down amusingly and peered through the gap in the open door. Guests are usually received here. Where did they go? Who are they? A question sounded in her ear. Who else? That red-haired rascal, replied Lavi. The next moment it reached Lava, and she fell on her ass. The red-haired girl apologized for not scaring her. It seems that it was about her red braids. But as for the scoundrel, she doesn't even know. It's gone, Laviette said to herself. No, she didn't mean that. As she knows, her name is Rosa Salome. Nice to meet you, sweet lady. She is Lavi, that is. She is from the Diaz family, and knelt down. You shouldn't be so nervous, answered the interlocutor, and gave her a hand. Stop it, Madame Salome. Why does she scare his sister? My brother came out. Is Lavi okay? So he helped her up. It seems that there was some misunderstanding. She just wanted to say hello, explained Rosa. Rosa was sorry that Werner had not invited her to visit her for a long time. They must have been gossiping about her with her sister, right? What? What is she about? Asked the boy. They can now fight over her. She doesn't want her brother to fight. Turning to Miss Salome, she introduced herself as Laviette Diaz. You can just turn to Lava. If she doesn't mind, she can explain everything over a cup of tea. It seems that they will not be able to go out because of the rain, said Rosa. Don't worry. The garden is very beautiful when it rains. And they went to the gazebo. Having a tea party on a rainy day is really so wonderful. Thanks to Lavi for inviting her. You're welcome, Miss Salome, Laviette replied. Probably she is superfluous here because Werner and the bride have something to talk about alone, added the confused blonde. You don't have to say that, replied Rose. Unearthly beauty, thought Lavi, looking at the guest. Sooner or later, Werner was going to tell her anyway. He was engaged to Madame Rosa Salome. Does she listen to him? Oh, yes, exactly, he is here too. She completely forgot about him. Well, this is already too much. He was indignant. That's how he is in front of his sister. And this is interesting, thought Rosa. He glared at Lava. Rosa offered to tell about herself so that there would be no misunderstandings. She is 25 years old, and she heads the 7th Imperial Knight Regiment. Truth? It is incredibly. And how was she able to become so strong? Lavi injured her wrist just holding the wooden sword. Rose laughed. Marquise Salome's family stands shoulder to shoulder with Duke Enoch's family. Their descendants have been learning fencing since childhood. She is just not bad at this business. Laviette is jealous. She too would like to have such a life. Her liking for the girl increased dramatically. She doesn't know what else to say. Will her fiancé be able to complete the story? He suggested that we stop talking about useless things and just get down to business. The engagement ceremony should be simple, said Werner. It is possible not to arrange it at all. The girl seems upset. She just managed to create the right atmosphere. Laviette was indignant. What's wrong with your brother? According to the plot of the novel, Werner Diaz will betray Salome. And then Rosa vowed to take revenge on Werner. She wondered why everything happened like that. So he was behaving like a fool even before the engagement. Lavi raged. All the same, they are both busy and they don't have time to think much about the wedding. Werner scolded his. Does Rosa really want to marry such an insensitive man? Laviette thought. Okay, then she offers to quickly prepare for the wedding ceremony, replied Rosa. Of course, they will make the wedding as easy as possible. She really, really wants to marry him. Is this how arranged marriages are? She doesn't even know the answer to that question. She has never been in a relationship in her previous life or now. The girl said that her brother cherishes Lava very much. Lavi looked at her in surprise. Rosa explained that there was a condition in the contract that they would both live in the same house with her. In the same house? The two of them? She blushed. Werner laughed that there were 3 of them. He, too, would live here. Rosa explained. It was an arrangement she accepted with ease, so there was no need to worry. Having met in person, I am glad that I agreed. Wait, this is so unexpected. What does it all mean? She turned to her brother. Werner explained that he wasn't going to tell her right away. But don't worry, her life will not change in any way. He would take Alan as her escort, as well as doctors and maids. Since she doesn't have to follow the rules or duties of a noble lady, she'll just live like Laviette Diaz. The girl imagined herself as a bird in a cage, but this means that she will not marry and live with him because she is sick. What kind of nightmare? The man is a traitor. My husband's sister is always sick. No, she has her own plans for life. What a fool her brother is. The brother was stunned. Oops, she's falling. The girl did fall, dropping the tea, but was picked up. She apologizes. She probably scared Rosa. All right. Lavi seems more scared. By the way, does she want to introduce her to the friend who is holding her? His name is Alan, the blonde mistakenly said. By the way, when did he have time? Long time no see, Lavi, said Akkad, smiling. He held her like a prince and a princess. Is it really him? She looked at him dumbfounded. She wanted to tell him so much at the meeting. Why was he gone for so long? Why didn't he write letters? Did he forget about her? Yes, that's him. But she could not say any of this. Just say his name. Why had his body improved so much? Did the girl blush? He has grown so much. He has such shoulders. His rain-soaked hair clung to her neck. Laviette hugged him so tightly, the boy blushed. Is she okay? Why is she so surprised? Her nose was bleeding. My brother noticed this. She blushed and covered her face. And the truth. Rosa is also looking at her. What a shame. Rosa laughed and said that she had better go and rest. She didn't know she was tired. She also detained her. Yes, it happens to her when she is tired. For the first time, she is glad that she is so sick. So she can be the first to bow and let Rosa stay here and not worry about anything. Brother's bride waved her hand and said, See you soon. So embarrassing. We must leave here immediately. Akkad pulled off the glove with his teeth and took her hand. Is she better now? Asked the boy. She was still red and holding a tissue to her nose. Just look at his expression. Lavi offered to come back first and talk later. Rosa suggested that Werner finish with all the questions first. He agreed. That guy, as soon as he appeared on the horizon, he behaved very cautiously, the bride noted. But as soon as Lavi called his name, his expression instantly became kind. And he is a tough nut, thought Rosa. Werner asked why she was smiling like that. Because I saw something interesting. She can't believe that she hasn't seen him all this time, and he suddenly appeared in front of her. It seems that things were going very well for him, because he didn't even write to her. He looked at her in surprise and became covered in sweat. He used to be so small and cute, but now he has grown up so much, the girl thought, looking at him. Her cheeks were red, and his appearance is more beautiful than even Rosa's. At first he asked to leave a little. Did he mean to avoid her? No, just too close, Akkad said. Does he not want to say anything to her? He said that her hair had grown very nicely and touched her braids with his hand. She told him not to change the subject and noticed that his voice had dropped. He apologized to her. He missed her very much. She looked at him in surprise. The problems are from him. He used to charm people with his cuteness, but now with his cool side. And she pushed him away. Okay, he better start by apologizing. He was surprised. She pushed him with all her might, but he didn't even move, and she feels how strong he is. Does he have something hidden inside? Is it all his merit? The boy cried out that this time the blood came from both nostrils. How can she get used to him when he has changed so much? Akkad and Laviette sat on the bed. She still held the handkerchief to her nose. Levi seems to have been very unwell all this time, the boy said worriedly. Yes, the girl confirmed. She still needs his touch. He took off his gloves and took her hand, smiling with his eyes. His face turned pink. Can he help her? He asked. She is recovering little by little. Did he learn to control his powers? Yes, now he can use the force whenever he wants. He cannot wear gloves. The girl took the handkerchief from her nose and looked at her friend in surprise. She feels a pleasant energy inside her. It feels like the body is absorbing the energy of Akkad. She did not notice at the time because she was not fully conscious. But was his energy always this strong? Amazingly. The bleeding from the nose has stopped and she feels full of strength. She frowned and continued to look at him in surprise. She feels as if she is overwhelmed by some feeling in her chest. Is it because his energy is so strong? She shook her head to get rid of this. Dope. He apologized and asked if it was difficult for her. It seems that he does not yet fully know how to control his powers. He seems to be better at using the force if he understands how it works. For starters, she thinks how close physical contact plays a big role. Yes, this is the principle of his power. If he can control his power, that means he can make the wound heal as naturally as possible. No one would be suspicious if a large wound suddenly became inflamed. He's just incredible, said the girl, leaning her head against his shoulder. Nothing like that, he replied dismissively. She said Akkad had such strong shoulders and arms. It touched his back. This is the complete opposite of a brother, the girl thought. He blushed. A person turns to him and he looks away, angrily thundered the girl. No, it's just too close. Lavi hasn't changed at all, the boy concluded. Still is beautiful. And his heart still beats faster because of her. He had not seen her for a long time, but he was able to realize something. He was told that love was in the gazebo. She was laughing. Some kind of light is always near her. No matter how gloomy the day was, the thought of her always made it warmer and lighter. Is everything okay with her? Even if she doesn't get sick, can go and see how she is there. Does he swear to be her knight? He recalled the episode of his initiation with a rose. When he was very tired, the only thing that kept him going was that he didn't want to be ashamed of his appearance in front of Lavi. But all this turned out to be in vain, because he cannot control his facial expression. Does she think Akkad blushed? Suddenly revealed the girl. Wait, really? Before grabbing her hand, I had to wipe myself, and she rushed to wipe his wet hair. He's fine, don't worry about him. Her hair was wet from the rain. But it's okay, he has a fever. A cold is a very scary thing. You have to be more careful with it. Otherwise you can die. Now Lavi doesn't have to worry about him, answered the boy. After all, she has him. What, is he staying in the capital? The girl was happy. So, he apologizes for not writing often and for being late. And again gently took her hand. He didn't know she was waiting for him so much because she never asked him to come back. And she thought that he, as he promised, wanted to return to her as her knight. In fact, he missed her a lot too, the boy said, putting her hand to his face. Fool. She thought he had completely forgotten her. Oh, how she wanted to scold him so much at the meeting, but she couldn't do it. By the way, for some reason she wrote a lot about Werner in her letters. He even thought that these letters were not addressed to him. Why should he like it? She got angry and pulled out her hand. Suddenly, she fell on top of him, covering him completely with herself. The girl herself was surprised at what had happened. It is thickly layered. Their lips met. The girl blushed and, putting her hand to her mouth, asked if Akkad was okay after such a fall. He was confused and did not know what to answer. Said they must have just kissed. It was a mistake, the girl repeated. He was surprised. What a horror before he cried only from talking about kisses. She felt a sudden weakness in her legs and fell. She didn't do it on purpose. It was 100% a mistake. He was surprised and upset. Error. Why was he even more upset? She thought. Was he so shocked by this accidental kiss? She apologized to him. If he wants, he can kiss her himself. It will be like revenge. She nailed him with this offer. Let him think of it as a rehearsal for the future marriage. By the way, his lips are so soft and pleasant. She finally removed it, and she asked not to make such a facial expression. Maybe it's just his feeling, said Alan, pouring water from the kettle into a glass. What happened between them? He noticed that the girl could not look at her friend. Both answered together. Nothing. Akkad thought he had changed a lot, but Lavi doesn't seem to notice the changes at all. He wants it not to be a mistake or revenge. Why doesn't she just want to pretend it didn't happen? She, for her part, thought that she was tormented only by the thought of it. It's his first kiss, but so is hers. Alan advised her by ear. If she feels constrained by the fact that she has not seen her for a long time, she can start a conversation with some simple topics. Maybe ask something that interested her. And indeed, agreed the girl. Has Akkad heard anything about his uncle? She asked her friend. Is she talking about the letter Werner sent her? He asked. It seems that Earl Courtney is up to something illegal. Therefore, it is better to monitor his actions. He thinks that because of this strong evidence, the father met with the uncle. It seems that the uncle is gradually losing the trust he has earned over all this time. Now the father knows that the uncle is a stingy person, so he warned him that she might not worry about it. Okay, the girl agreed. It is pleasing that now they will be attentive. But how to explain to him that this may not be enough? He asked Lavi why she was worried about her uncle and brother. The Duke's family is not so easy to break, the boy assured, and whispered in her ear that the title of Duke Enoch goes to those who inherited the abilities. Only he, his father, and the imperial family know about it. The ability of the Enoch family is very rare and valuable among other abilities, so Count Courtney will not dare to threaten them. Wait, can he really tell her about this? Of course she can. He can tell her anything. Isn't it too naive on his part? The girl thought. We need to stop at this for now. Her head was on fire, but why? She can ask him anything. No, if she is interested, she will ask later. If the imperial family knows that Akkad's abilities are so important, why is he sent to war in the novel? The girl thought worriedly. Maybe they wanted to get rid of Enoch's power? Or maybe Akkad's cousin did something terrible. In this case, the prevention of an accident is not a panacea for the main danger. Perhaps Akkad is their target? In any case, be careful, especially with carriages. And he sent a piece of food on a fork to her mouth. She spoke at all. He said she lost weight because she couldn't eat well because she was worried. She can't eat much even if she wants to. He repeats, there is nothing to worry about. Now he will be by her side, always. And he handed her the next piece of steak, and he himself was as pink as his braids. Did he even hear her? Thought the girl, swallowing a piece. He took her hand again. Either way, she's very glad he's back. She wants more. Let him say a... He mocked. A few days later, Laviette called Alan. He was talking to another knight in the courtyard of the manor. Miss looks beautiful today, the boy complimented. It feels as if she has gathered somewhere. Yes, Alan is right. She will go to Akkad. He hadn't heard anything about it. He had to be warned. So she tells him Akkad also comes unannounced to her. It was so difficult to get permission from my mother that she had no time to warn others. She must be accompanied by more than 10 people. You don't have to leave the Duke's mansion anywhere. You should always be with Alan. We must return before evening. How many things? Before Mom changes her mind, they should leave soon," said the girl and pulled Alan with her. Okay, but he needs time to prepare. His partner advised him. He said that he was jealous of him for a walk with Missu. Caleb, as before, no signs of remorse. Let him return and make another 100 laps around the training ground. This is already too much. Caleb was indignant. He just drank quite a bit of alcohol during training. Maybe he's trying to get him fired? He will do everything and we'll wait for him. It turns out that there is one more person besides her whom Alan is hitting on. The girl secretly laughed into her hand. Alan grabbed his head. To begin with, he will lead her to the carriage, and she will wait until he assembles an escort. Okay. For some reason, Caleb winked at her. She was shocked. What a strange boy, she thought, glancing over her shoulder at Caleb. She is going to Akkad. It seems that because of this, Lavi has not gone anywhere for a long time. She does not feel well. Her heart is beating wildly. I haven't seen you for a long time. Akkad's mother was happy to Lava, clapping her hands. She became so beautiful, I hardly recognized her. How long have they not seen each other? And she is just as beautiful. Laviette praised the appearance of Akkad's mother. It seems that soon her mother will be jealous of her. Oh ho! That's how she says beautifully. How she would like her to be her daughter-in-law and live in their house. The girl laughed. The woman hugged her. By the way, where is Akkad? She wanted to see him with the Duke. Well, Akkad has gone because he has business in the Imperial Palace. He won't be back until evening. It can't be. The girl broke into a cold sweat. So much effort, and in vain. Alan said that he had said so, that he should have been warned of his visit. It's okay. She has a lot of time, so she will wait for him. Because next time it will be difficult for her to get permission to leave the premises. What if they spend this day together? Suggested Mrs. Fedora. The girl was very surprised about the position to spend time together. The temptation was irresistible. Does she want to move out of the estate? Mom laughed. Yes, if it is not difficult for her, why is she so surprised? Today, she feels well and she wants to go. She wants to go to a popular fashion store, that store with desserts that she saw on the way. They can go to the Fountain of Wishes on the square and to the park with flowers. But it seems that she will not succeed. She promised her mother that she would not leave the estate and walk on the street. If she breaks her promise, she will no longer be able to leave the house, said the girl, holding her hostess's hands. Mrs. Fedora was surprised. Then why don't they just go to one place? Don't worry, she won't tell her mother, and stroked her head. You just have to answer the question whether she wants to go out for a walk. The woman slyly looked at the girl. She scratched her head and looked with wide eyes. Yes, she wants to. And they went to see Jules. The girl could not be surprised. Before that, her purchases came only to the door. She chooses something for herself in the store for the first time. What her little Laviette is looking at is a good design, said the lady. But the wrong stone was chosen. It will be better if he changes this stone to a pink diamond, she instructed the seller. Okay, the jewelry comes with the earrings. They're also changed the stone? So, has Mom already chosen something? Her eyes just widen. She smiled slyly and offered to start with that. From what? Asked the girl, and she offered her a necklace. As expected, it suits her very well, smiled the woman with warmth in her eyes. It would be great if she wore it and stood next to Akkad. And imagined them together. That won't happen, Lavi grumbled. Does she not like it? Maybe look for something else? Asked the lady. Lavi addressed her as Mom, and asked her to calm down first. She blushed deeply. He is also handsome. Doesn't Lavi want to try it on? They already took a lot. Laviette doubted. She can't often afford to wear something like that. The woman said she imagined she was her daughter, so she wanted to buy it. The girl blushed. If she were to look at her, as Akkad does, she would not be able to resist. Only this last. Yes, of course, it suits her so well. The woman was also confused. Stop, said the girl. And she took the same one with a blue diamond. She will take this one too. And asked to bill the Diaz family. The salesman nodded. The woman said that if she liked it, she could buy it too. No, she wants to buy it and give it as a gift. If they have paired jewelry, it will be very charming. Does she really think so? And laughed. How she would like to have a daughter like her. How can she be so cute? The woman hugged her very tightly, so that the girl screamed that she was suffocating. But immediately, she removed her hands and covered her face with her hand. She says from the pure heart? If she enters Enoch's mansion, she will be very welcome. The girl laughed. What is she saying? The main thing for her is that Akkad can treat her. Everything is loaded and they can already go, Alan said, adding that as they had a lot of baggage, he would have to go with the knights. The girl agreed. Mother bought a lot of things. There is nothing you can do here. It seems to Alan that they all differ only in the design of the frame. Akkad must return home by now, therefore you can go. Thanks to her, they had a lot of fun and well. That's how she knows she wanted to meet him. But lately he has been very busy. Does Lovey know what's going on? No. How could she know that? Lovey thought he had gone to the palace, perhaps because Courtney's reputation had fallen. But she will pretend that she knows nothing. Akkad does some of the Duke's work, although she thinks he told her that, the woman said, folding her hands into a castle. He has also already talked about his abilities. Is she right? The girl was happy and exclaimed, Oh, she knew. Yes, of course my mother knew. She found out about it when he was 6 years old. He told her how he cured Lavi. Then he should know that Lavi constantly brought Akkad to tears by involving him in dangerous adventures. He didn't want to, he was scared. He asked her to stop, but the girl only mocked the little one. Laviette apologized. It was a secret of their family. No, she doesn't have to worry about it. In any case, she already knows it. When she gets married and becomes a duchess, suddenly something shook the carriage. There was no such thing on the way there. The woman told her to sit quietly. It looks like their trip will be delayed. Is this the same accident with the carriage? The girl was frightened. She does not know what was the cause of the accident. She hopes not because of the attack. She was also confused by the fact that it had to do with the Duke and Duchess. This shouldn't have happened, she thought with horror. No, you should have been more careful. Then she would have thought of going some other way. No, if she hadn't come, maybe nothing would have happened. She was acting too cocky. The woman told Lavi not to worry. This carriage is the strongest of all they have. The knights are coming after them, so they will soon catch up with them. Besides, she is nearby. The girl said in fright, Mother, they don't have time to despair. They need to come up with a way out quickly while they still have the strength to do so. She touched the brooch. Plus they have Alan and the Duke's knights. They chased each other on horses. She will definitely come back and meet Akkad. She imagined how she would hug him, and he will say that now everything is in order, that the most terrible day in his life is now over. If Lava is scared, she can close her eyes, Akkad's mother advised. No, she's fine, but her eyes were bulging and red. She has long been thinking about what an amazing child she is. This fragile little girl has eyes full of life. Then, she also has to prepare. The woman had a dagger tied to her leg. She can't lose her daughter-in-law here, Fedora said menacingly, drawing her weapon. Meanwhile, in the Imperial Palace, with these documents, he would no longer have to worry about Count Courtney. He will do the rest himself. Therefore, it can return. Once he has arrived, it is better to finish with all matters. Even if Lavi is waiting for him at home right now? Asked his father. Akkad blushed. He wanted to overcome his excitement, to say that even that could wait, but received in return a telling look that encouraged him to go while he let go in a good way. Lavi has arrived. What will Mom say if he's late? Let him go as soon as possible. This time he will be able to kiss her. Let him consider it revenge. He remembered the girl's playful face and smile. By the way, his lips are so soft, pleasant. It seems that Lavi did not attach any importance to this. It seems that only for him it meant something. He's not sure he can look at her calmly. Suddenly, he saw a knight with bloody clothes calling to him, They are in trouble. What happened? The carriage in which Madame and Miss Diaz were traveling was attacked in the forest outside the capital. Now you have to go to the audience hall and ask your father for help. He asked the messenger to stay here and treat the wounds. You can't go alone. We have to wait for reinforcements, but that should be forgiven. He remembered Lavi's words. In any case, be careful, especially with carriages. If only she were in order. Rushing faster than the wind through the night forest, he saw a carriage. People in masks. The door of the carriage was broken. Wasn't their goal a married couple? Asked one of the mercenaries. There is no one in the carriage except 2 women. Mrs. Enoch jumped out with a knife. That's a bitch. The one in the mask got angry. How could they call the Duchess a whore in front of her daughter-in-law? And attacked them. It would be better to kill him with a sword. Lavi knew that her mother was a knight. The girl looked at her with delight, but she could not even imagine that she was so strong. "And this sword is not so bad," thought the woman. "Is Mom okay?" Called her girlfriend. She spoke up so that Lavi would not go out and stay in the carriage. "She still has a lot to fight for. There are 20 of them, if not more. All these people are going to kill them. There are only 2 women against them. We need to get rid of them," shouted the leader of the pack. "How dare they?" answered the Duchess, waving her sword. "What to do? She only gets in the way with her helplessness," Laviette thought. "She can't move." "You don't need to fuss like that," shouted the thief, armed with a sword, and swung at the Duchess. With the cry, "Mom!" Laviette ran out of the carriage and pushed the man. But she is too weak. The criminal did not even feel her push and asked if she had lost her mind. "What is she doing? Let him go." She grabbed his neck and screamed that he should not touch his mother. Who knows? If she lets him go, she might get killed. Well, they will look at that. And he pushed her away. She fell. He just wanted to feel sorry for her, but it seems she does not want to live. She remembered Alan's advice, tensed her body, and with all her breath she punched the assailant in the groin. "Fool! Who in the world wants to die?" the girl shouted. Drawing her sword, the Duchess continued to defend herself. In addition, Lavi is always trying so hard to survive. "Does she think she can get away with it?" shouted the criminal. The sword fell from the thief's hands, and a long longitudinal wound appeared on his chest in a flash. This was done by Alan, who immediately apologized for being late. They must have waited. "Leave everything else to him," said the boy. "Okay." She knew he'd be there to help, Levi said. There were streaks of blood on her face. A large-scale sword fight broke out. Laviette's face and dress were covered in blood. She thought about the fact that today 15 knights were sent here because of her. There are 5 more people from the Enoch family. And how many opponents? 30? No, there was even more. What to do? The girl thought, looking at how the Duchess was getting away from the criminals. She has a headache. She called out to Alan, who was deflecting the blow with his sword. The knight assured that he was fine. "You need to wait a little and try not to lose consciousness." With these words, he pushed the robber away with his foot and struck him with a sword. But he himself was wounded in the stomach. He pressed the wound with his hand. Although she can't see anything because she turned away, she can tell exactly what happened by the sound. The screams of people she knows are getting louder. They cannot handle attackers. She only has a slight wound, but she is in so much pain. How difficult is it for others? She thought, holding on to her injured shoulder. She whispered for him to forgive her. She doesn't want to die, does not want to see the death of others. As if reading her thoughts, the knight thought that Laviette had lost too much blood, but that a doctor or a priest should be consulted as soon as possible. He told Miss Fedora, standing back to back with her, that he would take care of everything. Maybe she should get out of here. She refused, because there were still opponents. In addition, she is able to fight. He is well aware of her skills, but Miss Laviette is seriously injured. With such a wound, she could die, which is why he asks the Duchess to leave. The woman agreed and left the battlefield. Laviette already imagined her death, but this feeling is unfamiliar to her. She just wants to sleep. Will Akkad cry a lot for her? If she dies in place of his father, will his future change? At least Akkad will not be left alone. Alan heard a sound in the distance. He couldn't believe his ears. Reinforcements weren't supposed to arrive yet. It was Akkad who burst into the middle of the clearing with his sword drawn. The guy saw his girlfriend lying on the floor. It's so strange. Somehow she thought she heard Akkad's voice. Meanwhile, he personally directed all his forces at her. "How is Miss Diaz?" asked Akkad's father when the girl was given first aid. Priests stood over her and prayed, trying to heal her. One of them explained that her body was so weak that she could not even receive divine power. Even if she is slowly recovering, she still has to wake up. She must be saved by any means. Unfortunately, this night will be decisive because further use of divine power can only do more harm, explained the priest. The father was angry, blaming himself for everything. He should have watched over everything better. Akkad turned to his father to tell him something important. Father let the priest go to listen to his son. Judging by the expression on his face, the young man made a decision. Yes, he did not want to hurry, but his father promised him that from the age of 15, he would be able to make decisions on his own. Therefore, he asks not to argue. Father said that he had already used his powers on lava. But is he sure he will be okay? He understands that it will not be possible to cancel the decision. Everything is fine, answered the boy. Without Lavi, he doesn't need this ability. He came over and took her hand. You have to be more careful. It's hard for her to pick up his energy because she's still unconscious. If he overdoes it a bit, Lavi will be in danger. Suddenly, the girl came to her senses, and sighing, she said that she must have died. So why is she in so much pain? He called her name and unbuttoned her chest. I asked him not to say such a thing, because she will not die. Akkad took off his tie with the intention of doing something for her, bent over her face. In spacious rooms, knights with bandaged hands and heads are lying on neighboring beds. He no longer has to worry about Miss Diaz's treatment. And if the condition worsens, said the doctor to the landlord. But he interrupted him. They changed the method of treatment. Therefore, it is worth focusing on the healing of knights. You should especially worry about Alan from the Diaz family. He has been raising this boy for a long time, but they don't treat anyone except nobles. Do they do so little for them that he cannot even fulfill such a request? Shouldn't he be healed before he can hold a sword again? The man was indignant. Alan got out from under the covers. He was put to bed right in his shoes. The other leg was bandaged. He turned to the owner. His face was dark. He is in no condition to get up. Asked to lie down immediately. Everything is fine with him. How are you, miss? He was supposed to protect Lavi, said the boy sadly. You cannot worry about her, assured the owner. She is in perfect order. Meanwhile, Laviette was still lying on the bed, her face still dark. Her friend asked her to be a little patient, sitting on top and removing the bandages. He touched his lips to each wound. He will make sure she doesn't get hurt. He pressed his face to her. He noted that the serious wounds had healed. She called his name. Now he needs to inject a little energy, and took her by a lock of hair. He is afraid when she sleeps like that. And he kissed her on the face. It felt like they were back in the day when he yelled for Laviette to get up, because he was sad without her. She said that it was not a serious fall. Then why is she sick for so long, he recalled. What if Laviette never opens her eyes? The boy was worried then. Then he dropped his gloves, took her hand, and used his powers on someone for the first time. Probably from this he felt heat in the region of the heart. Then the girl came to her senses, which made him very happy. Then he admitted that it was, of course, a secret, and he confusedly tried to weave words into sentences to explain his intentions. When did it happen? The girl was kneeling. Did it happen the day she found out about her past life? It seems to be similar to when flashbacks come to her before she dies. His head was splitting, his ears were ringing. It seems that with each breath it became easier to breathe, and now she finally regained consciousness, opened her eyes, looking at him. Akkad sat on top. She vaguely saw his face, did not know what had happened, and stretched out her hands to him. She needs it now. And she passionately kissed him. He blushed. He realized that she recognized him. More. She came alive. It seems that Lavi still hasn't fully regained consciousness and continues to kiss him. He needs to control his abilities. His hands turned red. The passionate kisses continued. What does the Duke mean? Werner was worried. Do Lavi and Akkad sleep in the same room? Is this a problem now? He flew into the room and saw Akkad on the girl's bed. He was really asleep. His hand was under her head, his other arm around her shoulder. Wasn't he going to wake them up? Asked the Duke when Werner left. Did he want to drag him away? Only this time. Lavi must have been very surprised. It seems that she will be happy when she wakes up and sees Akkad next to her, the boy said. But she is not as badly injured as he said. She looks much better thanks to the priests. They were killed and seriously injured, but his wife and Lavi fainted from shock. They will not be able to ignore this situation. He says the Earl of Courtney was involved, isn't he? Where is he now? Werner's eyes burned with mad hatred. When she finally came to her senses, many of her worries were behind her. The girl analyzed the situation with surprise. The family of Count Courtney was finished. The Count, the organizer of the attack, committed suicide, unable to withstand the pressure from the Diaz and Enoch families, and his widow and son were deprived of their status and fled to another country. Probably they will be wanted for the rest of their lives. The families of the knights who died in this incident received appropriate awards. The Enoch family decided to do everything possible to take care of the families of the victims, although, of course, no amount of money is worth it. The natural temple provided support, suffered, and those who were attacked recovered safely. Now everything is back to normal, except for one thing: the girl offered Akkad to talk. He remembered her recent passionate kiss and blushed. He covered his face with his hand. She doesn't know what to say about what happened that day. It's good that she's recovered, but he doesn't know what to say to her. Just said sorry, she just thanked me. What is he apologizing for? She was surprised. She suffered because of him. Lavi warned him that something might happen, but he did not think that the scale would be so large. When he saw her in that commotion, his heart froze in horror. Taking Lavi in his arms, he could feel his body getting heavier and losing body heat. And it seemed to him that it was all because of his safety. He thought that there was nothing he could do now, so he needed to master the sword better so that he could continue his lineage, while his father worried about everything else. She almost paid with her life. He couldn't muster up the courage to look at her because he had put Lavi in this situation. He doesn't seem to deserve the right to love her. What does he say? The girl stopped his tirade. She took his face with both hands. Does he know what she thought yesterday as soon as she woke up? She is glad that he was there for her. She is alive and seems to be in no pain. After giving up, she concluded that he had been treating her all night. And, it seems, there was no funeral for her since he is here. This means that Akkad's parents are also fine, is not it? Tears dripped from her eyes. How glad she is that Akkad avoided the main misfortune. He has a lot to blame himself for, really, but she is glad that they met again. The girl smiled. Since Akkad's parents are alive, he will not go to war. If she continued in the same vein until she was an adult, she thought. Are you sure he's okay? Akkad recalled the conversation with his father about the decision. He knows that, having made a decision, he will not be able to change anything later. He does not regret it. He made his decision the day he held Lavi's hand for the first time. He wants to live for her. He likes her. Yes, he is also glad that they met again. Truth? Well, it was necessary to say so right away. The girl extended her hands to him. Sometimes it's hard for him to breathe because of this feeling that fills his chest. Someday he will definitely tell her. What? The girl asked, seeing that he put his fist to the solar plexus. He didn't get hurt because of her weak blow. Did he get hurt too? Besides, shouldn't she have apologized first? Lavi was beside herself when her lips collided with his. It cannot be called a kiss. Perhaps this day will not come soon, but he wants his feelings to be mutual. He decided that he needed to be by her side now. The time will come when he will tell her about his feelings, but they did not yet know what a terrible future awaited them. So what happened to Count Courtney? The man in the black hood reasoned. So how will they act? Should they change their plans? No, we must leave everything as it is, replied the man with the sapphire ring, who was lying in the dark room. But he is a patient, Alan addressed His Majesty. He said not to pretend, he knows that he can go a little further. Alan replied that since he had enough strength, then he had better not walk with him, but to visit Miss. He has something to say about Miss, but he doesn't seem to want to hear it. Is she not feeling well? On the contrary, there was not a single scratch on Lava, so she had already returned to the mansion in the morning. But it is interesting how Miss recovered so quickly. She seems to have been very seriously injured. No, it was not a serious wound. The priests cured her. He brought her a bouquet and a gift. He already knows it. He understood that no matter what the truth, it is better to keep his mouth shut, said the knight, walking further. The Duke can't tell him more because it's a family secret. If it's a family secret, then he really shouldn't know it. The main thing is that Miss is healthy. He is so worried about this child. Wasn't he sent here because of her? And even now, he worries about whether Miss fell on a walk or got an upset stomach after dinner, or caught a cold from leaving the window open at night. Didn't she get burns because the water in the bath was hot? Didn't she dislocate her leg while walking? Didn't you hurt your finger while writing a letter? And didn't she get dizzy because she stood up suddenly? I didn't think everything was so serious, the Duke answered him. How does he usually spend his time at Miss Love? Usually he doesn't worry that much, but now he is like that because a soldier was attached to Miss, whom he does not trust at all, and he remembered the funny Knight Caleb. Laviette simply shone with health and joy. Her maid asked why she was in such a good mood. "Is it that noticeable?" asked the girl. Today she was wearing a green dress. She can't be in a bad mood. The Duke and Duchess are fine, and the Uncle Akkad problem is solved. Now Akkad need not go to war. Her goal is to have Akkad heal her until she marries a priest at 20. It is a pity that she did not have time to stop the war. In any case, there will be no etiquette classes today. You can rest. But after a moment of joy, she was shocked by the news. She was engaged in embroidery on hoops. She was informed that she now had a new knight to accompany her. "Yes, nice to meet you," he said. "His name is Caleb, and he is her new knight who will accompany her while the vice-captain recovers." Caleb had a scar on his face. "Wasn't he the one who winked at her last time?" the girl joked. How cute, she remembered him. "Well, yes, he is so handsome that it is difficult to forget him. A rebellious boy." "He is the charm itself," said the boy, lying down on the couch. "What is he doing?" the girl asked, laughing. "Doesn't he need to be in the room? He's going to take a nap." "Let him wake him up if he wants to go somewhere," he said cheekily. In 10 minutes he was already sleeping peacefully, having climbed onto the sofa with his legs. Knights are usually conscientious, she reminded Alan, caring, with manners. She thought all the knights behaved the same way as Alan, so everyone else looks like Caleb? "What's with Lavi's fingers?" Akkad asked at the meeting. "It's all because of homework," the girl explained. "What other homework?" After that incident with the carriage, she took a break from classes. Miss Austen had heard that Miss Diaz had been in a difficult situation recently. Instead of classes, she decided to give Laviette a task that would allow her to relax. She said to do embroidery. She put threads and a needle in the kit and said that you can take your time. A real lady should be able to embroider the name of her lover on a handkerchief. This is the best gift if she wants to conquer the heart of a man. "And yet this is too much," said Akkad. "But if she does not do this, the teacher will scold her. Besides, she might need it later when she's looking for a groom. This is a kind of investment in the future. I wonder when she can go to the temple. Don't worry if problems arise, you can ask Jenny for help." He asked to show her the wounds so that he could heal her. And what if someone sees them? The girl was worried. "Then she will just tie the bandages," advised Akkad. After that incident with the carriage, Akkad began to come more often. Is it because he feels guilty? She is learning embroidery, but feels a little guilty. She thanked Akkad for her healed hands. In return, she will show him that she has embroidered, but her skills are not that good yet. There is no need to give him anything for it, although he would like to see it. By the way, he does not see her accompanying Knight. "And he is probably in the wine cellar." The girl laughed. "What?" He was scared. "Good alcohol should be brought today. She thinks the knights are secretly being given free drinks. She thought all knights like Alan were caring, but Caleb was different. Since the knight does not follow her closely, she can walk alone. Last time she even tried black tea mixed with brandy. It is very tasty." True, the heart was beating a lot afterwards. Here she found the best sample of her embroidery. But what about his expression? He wants to see Caleb. Akkad stood red as if he himself had drunk. "What? Is it because they drank without it? He can join them next time." "Okay, sure, quietly. We just need to get Alan back as soon as possible." Is that what she came out with? He couldn't make it out, so she explained that it had her name written on it. Why is she training under her name? Doesn't he usually train on someone else's? Isn't this something given to special people? She feels that this handkerchief is something of hers if her name is written on it. Her name? Yes, this is usually given to loved ones. And if she embroiders her name there will be an association that it is her thing. It would be good if he looked at the handkerchief every time and remembered it. Clear. But since he can't read the name, she needs to practice more. The girl was upset. No, he thinks it's very cute. It looks like a child's handwriting. This means that she embroidered poorly. A week later, Lavi was sitting behind a book, and Werner appeared behind her again. He pursued her everywhere and asked if she wanted to give anything to her brother. For example, something like a handkerchief. One day she got so angry that she almost hit him with her sun umbrella. She wasn't going to give him anything like that. What? Then who is she going to give it to? That's why she kept it a secret from her brother. The people who told everything were probably her maids. In any case, she will not give anything. It's hers. Truth? Well, if not him, then her handkerchief should not belong to anyone. Why shouldn't he make a normal expression? And anyway, he needs to go meet Rose. Why did she suddenly talk about it? If they are engaged, then he should be responsible. Do they go on dates? Does he give her gifts or write her letters? Oh, the meeting has already started. It's time for him to go. Every time an engagement comes up, Lavi starts scaring him. How about a kiss goodbye? Werner slyly suggested. She replied that he should drive well. She spent it anyway. She is heartless, said the brother, but regardless of this, she is incredibly cute. And he saw Akkad, who was on his way to the Diaz estate on horseback. He works in the imperial palace, but for some reason he often sees him at their home. Be that as it may, he will not receive a handkerchief. He still has to wait 100 years. It seems that lately they see each other with Akkad every day, said the girl. But the guy is sad for some reason. Stroking the horse, he said that he liked it and was not bored. She asked what they would do. Will they drink tea or go for a walk? He is here today for another reason, the boy explained and blushed deeply. What happened? Asked the girl. Laviette was extremely surprised. She stood under her umbrella from the sun and looked at her friend. Had he come to visit her brother? But he just left for work. No, for another reason. He wants her to take something. The girl looked at his hands. He held a handkerchief on which was embroidered Akad Enoch. Did he also embroider his name? Yes, said the boy. It's beautiful. Who would have thought that he not only wields a sword well, but also embroiders? She thanked and promised to save. But why did he hand it to her? Last time, he said. She said it was only given to special people. He feels it as his own when his name is written on it. The boy barely said it. His cheeks were hot and red. The girl remembered how she happily handed him a simple handkerchief with her curls. And it occurred to him that he might as well give her a thing with his name on it, which would mean that she was his. Wherever Lavi was, he wanted her to think of him. Her face expressed complete incomprehension, and he said that it just turned out beautifully. And he didn't want to throw it away. And besides her, no one can give it to anyone. She laughed. Did it right. It would be a shame if only he could see this talent. Will he leave then? Okay, it is very strange that only she got something. She asked him to wait. Can you repay him for what she did? And she handed over her handkerchief. Now he sees the difference between them even more clearly. Can it really be taken away? She raised her hands. So after seeing his work, she realized that she had no sewing skills. So she won't do it anymore. It may not look like much, but this is her first and last work. Therefore, it is priceless for her. Will it be okay to exchange them? Yes, of course, thanked the boy. He is so happy that he would like to do something else for her. Oh, what a fool. No matter how you look at it, this is an unbalanced exchange. He is so kind. Suddenly an idea flashed in his eyes. Then can she ask for something else? She is a person who benefits from Akkad's kindness like no other. What about? There is one place she wants to go with him. He blushed at the fact that Lava's face was so close. And where is this place? She offered to go to the temple together and blushed. The white sanctuary built in the center of the capital is open to all people except for a few festivals, where the priest blesses the child. This temple has been criticized for being reserved only for the privileged classes, such as the royal family of aristocrats. But the whole nation believes in the existence of God because there is evidence of miracles. For example, the fact that priests have divine power. The bright light that heals wounds and restores strength is proof of God's existence. But even without this, she considers the temple a special place. And why should she go to the temple if she needs healing? He can do it himself. The boy was surprised. In fact, she wants to pray, but it is not so easy for her to leave somewhere. The girl mumbled in a flustered manner, hiding the true reason. But the real goal? She wants to look in advance at the priests that she will need to fall in love with in the future. Most of the people who come to their estate are high-ranking priests, and they are already old. Be that as it may, she cannot overcome this age difference. Therefore, she decided that it would be better to look at young people. She is afraid to go somewhere far, because every time it ends in an accident. But if she goes with him, everything will be fine. Come to think of it, he is responsible for Lavi not being able to leave the premises. Why didn't he think of taking her somewhere? Okay, he'll take her there tomorrow. Wow, she is very grateful, as she thought only he can be relied on. She said goodbye to him until tomorrow. He sat on a horse. All right, He'll stop by in the morning and let her wait for him. For now, one has to get used to the idea that sooner or later it will be necessary to let Akkad go, she thought, looking after him. She can't rely on him forever. Great. They have a reason to meet the next morning. The guy was happy. Nothing. She doesn't understand his feelings now, but if they continue to be together, one day she will figure it all out. He wants to grow up as soon as possible. The next day at the temple, he showed Lava where the prayer room was. Meanwhile, she was looking at different guys in the same outfit. 3 of them were standing nearby, and she went to them. Where is she going? They are in the wrong direction, worried her friend. She asked Akkad to look there and asked if these people were also priests. And why are they hiding, he asked. These are the Templars. They are responsible for the security of the temple and escort visitors. Oh, they look very reliable. The girl saw them roughly as medicines. Do they have healing powers? It would be great if the person treating her also looked healthy. So cool. Akkad was upset. One of the Templars asked his brothers if they also felt the cold. They confirmed. They greeted His Highness and blessed him. May the Lord protect him. He apologized for visiting them without warning. Hope it didn't bother them too much. Of course not. It is a great honor for them to meet him. And what brought him to them today? Is there another reason why people go to church? He came to pray, the yellow-eyed boy assured. Lavi looked at the priests walking around the church yard or reading on the benches. Akkad said it was time for him and Lavi to go back. She asked to look a little more. But half an hour has already passed, but, oh, did she hurt herself? Yes, she touched the rough wall and scratched herself. But now it is not important. She needs to find at least one more suitor candidate. She must be in pain, Akkad asked and kissed her finger. She blushed. What is this Akkad doing in this sacred place? When she was younger, she was relieved when Akkad healed her. But when he learned to control his power, his method of healing changed. The girl blushed. For some reason, she became nervous at such a moment. She feels somehow different. She is very tickled. But now, she is cured. He invited her to pray, but she was drawn in a completely different direction. She was surprised and impressed by the statue. She could not even think that no one would be here. Truth? Akkad was surprised. He specially led her along this path. Although now you will have to pray, not in the presence of a priest. Didn't it remind her of her childhood? Asked the boy. A wish-fulfilling well. She remembered the ghost from the well. He still remembers it, laughed the girl, touching his hand. He remembers everything related to her, he said bluntly. Then he should remember how much he cried then, smiled the girl. Not true, he didn't cry. Don't make fun of him. Lavi also cried with him. The boy blushed. No, everyone came to the sound of his screams. And why does she remember the bad? It's just that they never got around to making a wish then, but he's glad that this time he brought her here safely. And what wish does he want to make? Does she want to remember the same thing as before? He asked. It's a secret. Who is expressing the desire? She cannot tell such a good and innocent man. Because her desire is an attentive man with a good character who will be ready to rub her shoulders, using divine power for this. That's what she thinks. He can help her. She can tell at least a little bit about her desire. No, she won't tell, even if she doesn't try to ask. She has to keep it a secret until she gets married. If he wants, then he will also keep his desire a secret. It touched her. Akkad's desire is obvious. It is somehow probably connected with his brother. She begged God for an attentive and kind husband, and she also naively asked for a good man for Akkad, not like her brother Werner. He didn't know anyone was here. They heard footsteps. Turning, she said that they had already finished praying and the person could enter. And suddenly she was surprised. Who is this handsome boy? Is it a priest or a paladin? The man apologized. It seems that it is fate that they met like this. Can he learn her name? Has God decided to answer her prayers for an attentive and kind husband? Suddenly, Akkad stood between them. He greeted him, calling His Majesty the Prince, and asked God to bless him. No need to be so formal, replied the prince. He is always so sullen. What? Wait, it's His Majesty the Prince, her brother's future lover, Prince Felix. Is God playing a joke on her right now? She asked that her fiancé be brought to her, not her brother's lover. She congratulates His Majesty the Prince and says that God bless him. Her name is Laviette, and she is from the family of the Marquis of Diez. So she is Lady Laviette. He heard a lot about her from Madame Rose. The boy laughed and took her hand. She is much more beautiful than he had heard. He kissed the tips of her fingers. The girl opened her mouth. Rose, that is, Madame was talking about her? She should be glad that the conversation was not about her brother, but he had heard about her. Interesting, isn't it? And the prince offered to chat, but Akkad apologized and said that it was time for them to go. She confirmed, but actually she would like to talk to him some more. It seems that Akkad is moody and wary of the prince, the girl thought. Does he instinctively keep his future opponent at a distance? She assumed. The prince's eyes shone with fierce fire, and in Akkad, on the contrary, the look was cold. In the future, Felix will be the culprit of the attack on Rose. That's why she doesn't like him either. But is it possible to treat him so unkindly? Mrs. Austen would faint if she saw that. Well then, until next time. The prince waved. Akkad thanked for understanding. He doesn't look like he's grateful at all, the girl thought. See you then. The prince grabbed her hand. She's an even bigger figure than he'd heard from others, the prince thought, rubbing his chin with a finger. They were traveling in a white carriage. She did not know that Akkad was acquainted with the prince. He often visits the palace with his father, and the prince communicates quite closely with the feudal lords, explained Akkad. And the main representatives of the feudal lords are the Enoch family and the Rose family. Of course, said the girl, so that's how he and Rose talked about her. But what was it? She asked Akkad. She seems to have something on her, said the boy as he treated her hands. If you press that hard on the skin, it will hurt. He knows how sensitive her skin is. He apologized. She did not ask to be treated. She does not know what the matter is. But it is necessary to immediately clarify the situation. He is the most handsome man she has ever seen. In addition, it always smells delicious. Why did she suddenly talk about it? Therefore, he should not be upset because he met the main character's partner. She thought so even in childhood. But he knows how impressed she was when he arrived after his knighthood training, she said, pointing a finger. He got taller, his shoulders got wider, and he started looking so cool. In addition, he is an excellent swordsman. True, she definitely does not remember this. He thanked, and the main thing is that she knows better than anyone what he is like. He is sweet and kind. She knows how hard it is for him because of the person he loves. He instantly turned red all over. Wait, did she know about that? He thought she didn't know about his feelings. He barely uttered. Fool. How can she not know when she has been watching him for a long time? Indeed, she knows. And she touched his chin with her finger. What feelings was he hiding? You can tell her about everything. She doesn't have any special abilities or any special talents or immense power and authority. But as a close friend, he can listen to the story better than anyone. Will accept whatever he says. Will accept seriously? If only she knew how much he wanted to tell her, but never could. He brought his flushed face closer to hers, gently holding her palm. She is serious. He can do whatever he wants. To say that he is bored, get annoyed, upset, find fault. He can do whatever he wants. She really wants him to tell her about his feelings. He said that he is not good at all. Lying in the same bed with her, he was worried that he simply would not be able to withstand this excitement. He gets nervous when she is around other people. He wants her to know about his stormy feelings, but at the same time he is afraid of her reaction. Akkad's life is in complete disarray because he likes her so much. But if she really doesn't mind, the girl interrupted, don't be upset that Werner doesn't know about it. He was shocked. The brother is tactless and callous in terms of relationships, the girl continued. And why did she suddenly start talking about Werner? Asked the boy. What made him suddenly lopsided? As she thought, it was necessary to just wait and not ask anything about it first. She raised her hand warningly. If she doesn't want to talk, then she doesn't have to. It is not necessary to associate it with whom it is not clear. He is not who she thinks he is. What? But he himself behaved as if he had something to say about himself. Why does she mention Werner every time in a conversation about personal feelings between them? It seems that she said something unnecessary. Akkad's mood deteriorated. She touched his hand and apologized. He's not angry, is he? She looked at him joyfully, hugging his arm. They, like the first, are friends with Akkad, right? He smiled. Yes, of course, he seems to be even an evil person because he always lies to her, Akkad thought. She was lying on a wide bed. Her cheeks were red. The candle burned out. Lava had a disturbing dream. She wrote a letter. Let the commander-in-chief take care of himself. Despite the fact that she is far away, she still believes that everything is fine with him. Therefore, he asks to be especially careful. Her cheeks, she knows that it is not in vain. The number of letters increases, but they will never be sent to Akkad. But that's the only thing she can do. The girl burst into tears. How she misses Akkad. She thought about it hundreds of times. What choice had to be made then? She remembered a newspaper article about him. What had to be done then so that they did not separate? Laviette could not eat any more and asked Jenny to forgive her. But the maid asked her for a little more, because she needed to take the medicine. She will just take the medicine. It is very difficult these days. When she puts something in her mouth, she feels as if she is eating sand. Then she feels a pain in her eyes, feels a heat, as if she is about to vomit. It is even difficult to breathe, as if underwater. Well done. Now she can lie down. She asked whether Akkad would come today or not. Yes, Jenny heard he's been busy lately. Sure, said the girl, and turned to the barrel. She must have said something wrong then in the carriage. He has not come for several days. She hasn't been sick for so long that she feels like she's going to die now. Besides, what kind of dream is this? She dreamed yesterday that she was writing letters to him. Every time she thinks about it, she gets a headache. She hopes the medicine will work soon. In the imperial palace, Werner encountered the bride. He always looks busy, Rose said when they met. He was planning to meet her, the boy answered. Of course, she thought that he had already forgotten about her, since the promised period had already passed. The girl laughed. He apologizes. He's been very busy lately. She knows she's just teasing, and she has something to say, so she asks to give her some time. As he understands, soon the war will start again. Because of this, she will also be busy. Therefore, she wants to suggest postponing their wedding. What do you mean she will be busy? This time she will also take part in the war, the girl explained. She apologizes for not discussing everything with him beforehand. To be honest, he doesn't understand her. He had heard that the enemy was a small confederation of states beyond the border, but they brought in mercenaries and now outnumbered them. And the terrain near them is unfavorable. Frankly, he thinks this war will be hard to win. It seems to him that it would be easier to negotiate with the opponent so that the damage is as small as possible. But why do they act in this way? She asked permission to ask something. Is he saying that because he's worried about her? Of course that's why. Is it because he doesn't believe in her abilities? She stunned him with this. She said she was sorry, but she wouldn't give up on the war because she couldn't stay here when all her knights went to war. Will she take such a risk out of a sense of duty? Not only. She looked at the report and realized that the result would not be as he described it. She believes they have a good chance of winning. She is sure that she will return safe and sound, but he understands that he will have to wait. Does he want to break off the engagement? What is she saying? Werner was sincerely angry. He doesn't want to marry her because he loves her, does he? She knows that he is in a hurry to get married in order to inherit the title of head of the family as soon as possible. Therefore, instead of waiting for Rosa to return from the war, wouldn't it be better to break off the engagement and find another bride as soon as possible? Simply put, she gives him a chance. After all, they only verbally made promises to each other. No, he won't. And why is she looking at him like that? Why is she laughing at him? She apologizes. She didn't think he would answer like that. She was touched by his reaction. And really, why was he so upset? Is it all Lavi's influence? Thought the boy. It was she who asked him to be very kind. Well, then she asks you to wait for her. She will be back as soon as possible. And let him not say, lest they won't win the battle. She touched his lips with her finger. He shouldn't have told her that. He apologizes. Well, it's okay. But let him be careful because she does not like to be looked around in the absence of the bride. And let him remember that he chose her, not the chance she gave him, said the girl menacingly. She may not worry about it. She winked at him. Then she has it all. Is there anything else he wants to ask her? He doesn't know how to start. Does she know if Enoch's family will participate in the war? The Enoch family will take part in the war. And Lavi's friend, too. This is the Emperor's order, so he thought. So that's why he hasn't been around lately. Lavi will probably be very upset. She feels cold on her head. It was Akkad who came to touch her and heal her. It's so nice to be petted, nice and gentle. She touched his hand with her hand. He came. The girl was happy. He apologized for waking her up. All right, when he came, newly. If she was so sick, he should have been called. She thought that he was not over the fact that he was offended by her. Of course, this is not so. He couldn't come because he was busy. It's just that there is a lot of work in the Imperial Palace now. And what kind of work? Asked the girl. He'll tell her when she's better, and now she'd better get some sleep. As soon as she wakes up, she will listen to him immediately, the girl promised. Let him not go anywhere. Let him stay with her. Okay, he'll be around. His Majesty ordered him also to take part in the battle. Has it been confirmed yet? Yes, this is an imperial order, therefore he cannot refuse. Send the only heir of the family to the war. Isn't this overkill? Akkad asked. He led like this because of special skills. A strange reason, of course. He would like to know the real reason, but no matter what, he cannot disobey the Emperor's order, said his father. First, you need to prepare for the meeting. Okay, Akkad replied. What he couldn't say last time, he promised himself that during the next meeting, he would definitely tell everything. I would never have thought that he would be glad that he never confessed. This night passed peacefully thanks to Akkad, the girl thought, lying on the flowered lawn. As soon as she woke up, she had to face reality. And that was the beginning of the worst nightmare. Is he going to war? He had never said anything like that before. Why such a rush? Worried the girl, hugging his hand. And he hugged her by the waist and said that he came as soon as he found out. This is an order not directly from the Emperor himself. The Emperor? But is he out of his mind? What if someone hears? She knew this moment had to come. Given that the book described the impact Akkad's actions had on the war, this is a logical development. But she really does not like what is happening. Why should Akkad do this? He can't help but go. Can she run away with him? Is she with him? What an attractive offer, laughed the boy. Truth? Then she packs her things. He stroked her head. He can't put her in such danger, but he was pleased to hear these words from her. She blushed. Is that all he will say? She asked. He blushed. He likes her. Akkad touched her lips with his thumb. Therefore he wants to protect the place where she lives. He will definitely return to her, let him wait, and kissed her on the lips. He really doesn't want to tell her anything else? She folded her hands imploringly, looking at him with big eyes. It would be good if he talked about his feeling, but he can't do it, since its absence can drag on. Although he recently became a knight, he will try to do his best. Therefore, she does not need to worry much. So she will worry about him even more. The girl burst into tears. How can she send him to where the bad guys are? She raised him for so many years. She held out her hands to him. Where is he going? And hugged. In a week, only the knights will go early in the morning. Will they not say goodbye to the people, to those whom they will protect? He said that only her alone was enough for him. But this is not enough for her, she said, holding his hand. Let him sleep with her until he leaves, Laviette said, making him blush to the tips of his ears. Does he not want to? But they won't see each other for a while. They used to sleep together, but after his return, he keeps disappearing. Can she prevent him from sleeping, snoring, or fighting? No. Okay, he promised her to sleep together. The fact is that due to the fact that they did not see each other, her health deteriorated. She would like to fix her health before he leaves. Can they spend the night at his place? He asked. Okay, answered the girl. He needs to be brave, the boy thought. Caleb was sitting in a tree with one leg dangling from a branch. The girl ran across the lawn and called Caleb. She knew he was here. She ordered him to go down immediately. Caleb said that they had not seen each other for a long time, and dinner was not soon. Did something happen? He sat down in the frog pose. Can her escort talk to her like that? Oh, she herself constantly claimed that she wanted to be free, he said, descending to the ground. The knight smiled slyly. Isn't he the best when it comes to all kinds of entertainment? Well, yes, she said. So today she gives him a chance to show off his skills. You need to choose a delicious alcohol, then she will give him the same bottle. She will distract, and he will carry 2 bottles. By the way, miss, didn't her heart ache after a few drops of brandy? Why does she need a whole bottle? And this is already a secret, she answered. Then he will refuse. He agrees to so many things, but he cannot allow anything to threaten her safety. He lied. Is he serious? No, he was just curious, so he asked. So why does she do it? It was a secret. She grabbed her head. But you can't do anything. In fact, she wants to get one man drunk and sleep with him. And blushed. He wants to go to another man and leave her. She slyly meant Akkad, who is supposed to go to the emperor. All this time he refused when I asked him to sleep with her, and since they won't see each other for a while, she wants to take the opportunity to spend the night with him. This is not the whole truth, because Caleb might be jealous that she was drinking without him. The girl looked away. But miss? In that case, she should trust him. He put his hands on her shoulders. He will definitely bring something valuable for the sake of her turbulent youth. And they both laughed. Wow, Caleb is the best, praised the accomplice of the girl. But what does her youth have to do with it? Laviette called for help. 2 young guys appeared nearby. They seemed to be Templars. They asked what happened. She said that she felt suddenly dizzy. Can I call a doctor? Asked one. Caleb slipped into the cellar. It's not that bad, but she could use some support. She winked at Caleb to act quickly. One guard handed the mist to another. He needs to get back to his post. Recently, the wine has been disappearing. It is necessary to keep an eye on it, he said. The second said, okay. My shoulder hurt because of a childhood injury, Lavi said. What to do? Meanwhile, Caleb slipped through the barred door. Do you need to massage your shoulder first? He will deal with the right shoulder. The girl thought, phew, it was very close. Yes, it worked. It's all thanks to Caleb. She praised the guy and gave him a high five. He said he was welcome. He also received his fate. He stole a lot. Let her enjoy herself until Alan returns, and she will have to drink and have an honest talk with Akkad. Is this a parting gift? Caleb asked. Can I give you something else? For example, a decoration for a sword. A decoration for a sword? The girl was surprised. Yes, this is a kind of talisman that is worn on the handle of the shoulder. It means a safe return. Such are the customs of knights. It is usually made to the color of the eyes, but in her case, her eye color. Akkad hit his head, remembering how Lavi had asked him to sleep with her, and he had offered to spend the night at her place. How could he blurt out like that? No matter how hard he tries to stay away, he is drawn to her. He saw that the carriage had arrived. Alan greeted her with a hug. She was very happy for him and hugged each other. She asked if he had fully recovered. Yes, but when I heard that she was coming here, I decided to wait. Great, they'll go home together, she winked at him. What kind of bag is this in, miss? He asked. And that... She is not heavy. The girl lied. If Alan finds out about the contents of the bag, he will take everything. What to do? Akkad came up from behind and took her wrist. The girl was very happy for him. He greeted and apologized for being late. She put her hands on his chest. It's okay as long as he's here. Can Alan pick up the bags while he waits? Asked the girl. Then she can give him this bag. You don't need to ask anything, just let him hug you. Don't worry, Akkad will take her away. They will leave already. And Akkad picked her up in his arms and carried her, looking slyly. Alan was surprised. Akkad seemed to smile. Is he in a good mood? By the way, why was Akkad in such a hurry? His hair was disheveled, the girl noticed. Truth? Oh, it was so terribly difficult. Again, there is a lot here. Otherwise, she would not have managed to make them drink secretly. Is it true that she can drink? What if her heart hurts again? Of course, she can let her pour faster. She can do anything as long as he is around. She looked slyly and smiled. Well, yes, and he obediently began to pour a glass. But you can't use it all the time. He placed his hand on hers and their glasses clinked. Caleb chose a delicious wine and the aroma is so nice, isn't it? Don't drink so fast, he advised. Otherwise, you'll get drunk. Oh, and what to worry about if there is an antidote in the form of a person sitting next to her. She pointed at him with their crossed hands. He's not sure his healing powers will work as an antidote to alcohol. Akkad had never studied this question before. His grunts are so boring, the girl replied, pressing her fingers over his lips to shut him up. She had prepared all this, hoping he would like it. But he grumbles all the time, and she drank red wine again. Also, is she worried too? Is she afraid that he will be hurt? Asked the boy. No, she knows he won't be hurt. He will successfully defeat all the enemy commanders, receiving many merits, and he will return from the battlefield more alive and whole than all the others. He looked at her in surprise. He is very pleased that she believes in him so much. She leaned against his manly shoulder. She knows it from there. What? Surprised, he looked at her. Is Lavi sleeping? Well, Naturally, since it was already late and the bag was heavy, he invited her to lie down on the bed, but she didn't want to. Why does he drive her to bed? She is not drunk at all. The girl was indignant. Akkad, although he suffered more than once from the openly provocative behavior of his girlfriend, this time he was frightened and surprised by her excessive assertiveness. Why did Lavi point her glass at him? Her hands were on his face. He apologized and offered to treat her. You just have to sit still. She has to give him something. But where is it? What does she want to give him? She said never mind, and took his face in her hands. To begin with, she wants to kiss him. With a sweet look, she brought her face closer to him. It's already morning, the girl remembered, and she didn't see anyone near her, but she was definitely close to Akkad. What happened that night? She doesn't remember anything. But what happened? Is there someone at the door? Alan spoke up. The girl asked where they were. This is Mr. Enoch's guest room, the knight explained. He accompanies her. Let her not worry. Phew, of course. But why is he looking at her like that? What? Is he looking at her? Is it because she secretly drank alcohol? It was just a glass, not even a sip. No, not because of that. Does she not remember anything anymore? No, she is nothing more. No, there was nothing more like that. They were just talking to Akkad, and blushed, although it seems to her she remembers something. She drank, then she had a fever and probably felt sick. She smiled. Remembering that night, Akkad was very worried. His head begins to spin as he remembers yesterday. He persuaded her not to do it. She's drunk. She'll definitely regret it tomorrow. Why does he keep saying not to do this? In this way, she wishes him a safe return, passionately kissed the second girl. What is she talking about? If Alan hadn't walked in on them, it would have been a huge problem. Alan then said that he had collected all the things, and when he saw the couple, he shouted that this is what they were doing. She was hastily laid in the guest room, but she must have woken up already. But why so noisy? The girl shouted that Alan should not interfere. She needed to meet with Akkad immediately. The knight raised his hands warningly and asked to wait a little. Akkad also needs time to gather himself. Okay, since he's stopping her like that, then why not tell him himself what she did? He definitely can't answer. Then let Alan say what he saw. Well, when he came in, she was on Akka. He did not finish. Akkad greeted, standing between them. After everything that happened, you have to be polite, thought the girl, blushed and answered, Good morning. He was in such a hurry to stop Alan that he came out in his night clothes. She doesn't even remember anything, so why does she feel like she needs to apologize? Alan covered his eyes. Well, he will prepare the carriage. And let them talk about what they did not agree on the day before. What does it mean? But he is her accompanying knight. He hasn't officially started his duties yet, so he can afford it. Alan smiled. This is punishment for yesterday's bullying. She hopes that she will say everything she wanted to say. It is too much. How dare Alan abandon her in such a situation? Akkad put his hand on the girl's waist. Be that as it may, it is necessary to start with an apology. And she began to apologize and asked not to distance herself from her because of this. She even bowed. She is so ashamed. She wanted him to have good memories. The girl burst into tears. As a result, the memories remain simply terrible, not even to mention anything. Does she not remember anything? The guy asked with a smile, putting his hands on her elbows. Yes, then why is she apologizing? Wasn't she sick of him? No, said the boy. How could she think of such a thing? She thought she was pissed off at him because she had a lot to drink yesterday. Besides, Alan didn't say anything. Nothing happened, the boy blushed. But judging by her, it doesn't look like anything happened. Is not it? The girl looked menacingly, especially those lips. They were not like that yesterday. Did she hit him? And he does not say anything because his dignity has been affected. She asked Akkad to give her a hand, and she stood with her hands on her sides. When he held out his hand, she handed him a sword ornament woven from her braids. It seems that she forgot to give it to him because she got very drunk yesterday. How about covering yesterday with this? He asked if Lavi did it herself. Didn't you hurt your fingers? She just doesn't know how to sew, but she knows how to do this. If you don't believe it, don't take it. She will take it back. He hugged her touchingly and tenderly. Of course, he believes her, he's joking, and blushed. He stroked her braids, he just couldn't help but recognize her hair. He thanks and promises to return safe and sound. Okay, said the girl, and asked to come back as soon as possible. 2 days later, Akkad left. An amulet made of her hair hung on his sword. How wonderful it would be if you could rewind time by turning the pages, like in books. And no matter how much you prepare, separation is still difficult. And the morning will be very long. Alan carefully threw a scarf over her shoulders and said that from here Miss will not see anything. She knows. And yet she waited, despite the fact that there was no news from Akkad for 3 years. So the war began under the leadership of Duke Enoch. Prince Felix, Rose, and Akkad led the southern front, and the pace of the enemy's advance seemed to slow. But with each battle, the losses of the allies were considerable, and the enemies turned out to be strong enough. Therefore, the war never ended, and so time passed. It has been 3 years since Akkad left. Is everything okay in Akkad? She knows that it is warm there in the south, but still she worries if he has caught a cold. My brother is doing well, and it is said that he is highly respected in the imperial palace. Lavi notices that he and Rose often exchange letters. He is very glad that they did not move away from each other during that time. But why does Akkad not answer her letters? The girl often prayed for him in the temple. Should she learn about him through Rose's letters or from the newspapers? Yes, she cannot trust the articles in any way. After all, it is said in the newspaper that he has red hair. She asked her brother to make corrections to the newspaper because of this. Lavi knows that it is not so easy for him to answer her, but she misses him very much. Alan noticed that her letter took longer this time. Yes, because she prayed a lot. Laviette, like no other, spends a lot of money on the temple. But why is there no profit from this? Everyone talks about the same thing, and in general there are a lot of people in the temple. She has to do what she has to do every day. She has a certain list of things that she does when she comes to the temple. First of all, it is a search for a young priest who has great divine power. If she needs a man with divine power, wouldn't a high-ranking priest be the best option? Alan asked. Why did she focus on young priests? Is it really that hard to guess? As it seems to him, why does she need a young guy of her age? Is it really for marriage? Is she already thinking about this? Well, she will soon turn 20, so the last guy she saw was also a priest? Alan was nervous. And all the men she has met so far? The knight shouted, with a gray face. Yes, answered the girl. But probably she does not understand men. Why does she fall for those who do not suit her? Someone is married. Someone is just interested in raising their social status. Some people want to have a relationship on the side, and there was someone who at the age of 15 decided to lie about his age, and the one who constantly touched her. That last one summed it up worst of all, Alan. Wasn't that man a paladin? Did they even have a duel? It's all because Caleb lied about paladins having healing powers. By the way, she apologizes that this happened because of her. And did she write to Akkad about other men? Alan asked. Yes, of course. Although she does not know whether he read these letters or not. Is the captain here? He prepared everything he asked for, his associate Levin reported. What territory did you manage to conquer recently? Akkad asked menacingly. Luciana Forest. Then there is a high probability that the commander is still alive. What does he want to say? Early this morning they come forward. We have run out of supplies and need to rest for at least a week. Don't you need to get permission from the commander-in-chief? If they win, there will be no problems, answered Akkad. But it will not be easy to do. At least we need to talk about it a little. Where did he go again? Don't follow him. He wants to be alone, answered Akkad. Akkad alone angrily hit the tree with his fist. What are Werner and Alan doing there? Since she will soon turn 20 years old, she probably wants a relationship. The guy was angry. But they are all so terrible. And what kind of impure are they all priests? Is it because she often goes to the temple? Although they were together for so long, they never managed to become a couple. He was angry that those guys were like some kind of predators. What are their thoughts about a girl for whom they have no feelings? It is doubtful that Lavi was the first to approach them. 4? No, there are probably more than 5 of them already. What will happen after he returns? As if sensing the storm in Akkad's soul from a distance, Laviette trembled. Alan asked if she sometimes caught a cold. No, she suddenly felt cold. But why? Akkad sat with his brothers around the fire. He was troubled by the thought that he wanted to return. It would be nice to send a letter. His eyes were inflamed from fatigue and lack of sleep. Why can't you write letters to him? He asked his father. It's too dangerous, he explained. Letters sent by high nobility go through the royal family. He doesn't understand what their true intentions are, but they have to protect themselves from leaking information. In no case should they show weakness. Akata clenched her fists. Weakness? He filtered through his teeth. He just wants to answer her. How can this attract the attention of the royal family? It's a mess, all because of that letter in the pink envelope. He got something like this 3 months ago, and it's like he's gone crazy, one fighter said to another. He says that, oh, it's not worth reminding. Normally, he is happy with letters, but that day was different. When he read it, he instantly changed and destroyed everything around him. If Mrs. Salome hadn't stopped him, he would have killed them too. He was covered in blood. Even his hair was red. I wonder who is to blame for all that. Akkad's plan sounds good, Rosa praised him. Will she and her army join them? He does not know what she heard, but he refuses. Rosa replied that she knew he was planning to ignore orders and take measures. But what if his plan fails? He glared at her menacingly, and she smiled sweetly, offering to discuss. She pointed to the map. Enemies have an advantage in dark forests. She set traps on roads and trees. However, they are dealing with the mercenary alliance. They have only one working option, to attack first. At sunrise, the Rose troops will distract the enemy mercenaries. If the mercenaries leave the forest, he and his army can intercept them. And then they will be able to knock all the information out of them. She is confident in her plan. Why did she share her strategy with him? He thought he didn't like her. Didn't he want to get close to Marquis Enoch? Rose just wanted to help him. She just understands his situation. The girl hit him on the chest with her palm. In addition, she also has reasons to return as soon as possible. The fighters discussed the decorations on the swords of Mrs. Salome and Mr. Akkad. They are the same color. Did they make them for each other? No, he doesn't think so. Let him think for himself. They are dating each other as soon as they see each other. Rather, they have one and the same lover. So they are rivals? One day, Akkad asked Rosa to remove the jewelry. She spoils his mood and everyone is gossiping about her. Why? Then let him remove his. His jewelry is a symbol of friendship, and hers is a gift from the groom. And she told how she got this rope from Werner. The bridegroom came to Salome's place on the eve of the battle to say goodbye to her. Even if he is her husband, coming to her at night is quite rude. Why is young Count Diaz here? Rose asked. A guy who looks like a small shriveled dog, you want to poke him. Did he change his mind? She asked. No, not at all. He took her hand and pulled her to him. I didn't think that he would react like that. His body was hotter than usual. Did he get sick? He told her to be very careful and asked to answer his letters. First of all, she is a knight, not a woman, but she hesitates for the first time before the battle. How good that she was able to see such an expression on his face. Ah, indeed, he has a thing for her. What is this? He handed her a sword ornament. Werner blushed and said he heard it would help her come back safe. Rose stared at her groom in surprise with her yellow eyes and automatically patted the tie. If she doesn't like it, that's okay. If you look at it that way, his hair really got shorter. He said he would go. She caught him and kissed him on the cheek. He blushed. 5 years. No, she asks to wait just 3 years. However, she wonders what he will do after her return, the girl said slyly. So she promised Werner to wear this ornament. That's the whole story about her sword decoration. It doesn't sound very good, Akkad replied. She likes the defensive tactics of their army, but it's time to end this fight. Time passed and spring came. The Imperial army began to attack and win one victory after another. 7 enemy commanders died at the hands of the young Marquis Enoch, and much of the lost territory was regained. Finally, good news about Akkad. The girl was happy, reading the newspapers. Lavi was happy, but still worried about something. Why is the army of Akkad so exhausted? Is he being bullied by the command? She bit her finger in anxiety. Lady Love is about to bleed out, her boyfriend warned her. She was injured. Usually, priests are stingy with the use of holy power, but this is a completely different case. He looks pretty cute. This is Tess, a priest with whom she met not so long ago. All this is due to the fact that he arrived in the capital recently. He is so different from the capital people, blinded by their ambitions. He worries about her from the very first meeting, without thinking about the means. Moreover, he is pure and innocent. His expression is reminiscent of Akkad, but her pink-haired friend is much cuter, of course. He's so different from all the trash she's come across before. Such a kind and honest man. Next to him, her life will pass smoothly, the girl hoped. It seems that this newspaper is about someone very close to the lady? Yes, Tess is right. This is an article about her best friend. He is quite young but incredibly talented. This cute guy is Akad Enoch, so they are friends with him? I would never have thought that Lavi would come here so often to pray for the well-being of a friend, said the priest. He naively thought that she was coming to meet him. Now he's embarrassed. The priest admitted and was really confused. Well, does he like her too? But they see each other only for the 5th time. Looks like it's time to have a serious talk with Tess. Tess said everything was ready. The morning dragged on. The bleeding stopped, but the scar remained. His healing abilities seemed to be much weaker than Akkad's. Indeed, Akkad was with her until she fully recovered. Why does she constantly compare them? Is it because of similar abilities? Tess bowed. It was time for him. He asked me to monitor my health. She thanked him and decided to talk next time. Alan said she didn't need meetings with that priest. But why? Alan did not like priests at all. That's not the problem. His past is too murky. And what is he doing with her back? Well, it seems that she does not know how to choose outfits. She can't deny it, he's right. So what's wrong with that priest? He behaves like this for the first time. He arrived in the capital for no apparent reason, and he has no friends here. Alan, what if his status is higher than he thinks? Meanwhile, the knight was brushing her braids. They couldn't find any information about his past. This is quite strange. It seems that he has made up his mind to stop her, the girl thought. It's been so long since she had fun with her friends. How can he do this to her? Alan was indignant that she would not say such a thing. From his hand gathered into fists, Alan is so pushy. If there is time to find fault with her, let her take care of herself. The boy was shocked. About myself? He is completely useless in matters of love. He was being stitched up all the time, wasn't he? She offended the boy very much with this. He said that he was not interested in love at all. What? It's not that he doesn't care. He is handsome, has a good salary, often takes time off. What is the matter? Well, how to explain to her? The green-eyed knight sneered. Don't want to hear anything more about this girl, shouted his mother. Why does she talk about her like that? Why is everything like this? The woman sobbed. If she's so good, why not start dating her? No, it's better not to talk about it. He does not know. Why is he laughing? Have you fallen asleep, madam? A girl came with an envelope. What happened? Alan asked. The fact is that a letter arrived from Mr. Akad. The girl heard it, jumped out shouting to give it to her. I lost my slippers on the way. I eagerly opened the letter. Tears appeared in the eyes. Lavi, the war is over. It's finally over, the girl cried. The maid and Alan, looking at her, understood everything. The girl held the letter close to her heart, and tears of happiness continued to appear in her eyes. Akkad is about to return. He's coming back. Why didn't Rose tell him about it earlier? All the decoration is covered in blood after the last battle. Let him just rub it. So that's where they are. Akkad and Rose were approached by the prince. They, too, would like to participate. Their merits are the greatest. It is appropriate to reward them at the meeting, said the prince. Both objected. They had an advantage that they would use. It was time to go. Well, see you at the imperial palace. In the carriage, Salome and Akkad decided that he should get on a horse when entering the capital. She teased the boy for keeping his distance from Lavi. First, we need to find out the course of His Majesty's thoughts, she said. He was worried about the war, the imperial family, priests, and he only wanted to be with Lavi. He was furious because of her story about Tessa. Can't stand it anymore. Only he will be with her. You just need to confess your feelings like this, not to push her away. Alan asked if Lavi was sick. She said that his head is spinning and he is coughing a little. Maybe she was nervous. The guy opened the window. She remembered the illusion of happiness and peace that Akkad had created since the age of 7. Reality without him is shackles. If only he was around. Although this is a bad idea. He has his own life. Lavi got out of bed despite Alan's objections. Inactivity is worse than illness. Tess can't. She will find another priest to marry her. And left alone so that Alan would not grumble. It's been a long time since I've seen you, Lavi, said the boy who once pursued her. She was indignant. What was his name there? Balcony? In general, Falcon. Ah, yes, it reminds me of that. But they no longer communicate with each other by name, isn't it? And she's still as defiant. He took her by the tips of his fingers. Maybe she doesn't believe it. But he missed her. He kissed her hand. Falcon Smith is the second son of the Honorable Earl Smith, who who became a priest after discovering divine powers. He was her first boyfriend, but there was only one problem. In addition to her, he met 9 other girls. After parting with her, he seriously thought about his feelings, said the priest. None of those girls could ever give him as much joy as she did, but she doesn't care. Let her immediately let go of her hand. Laviette snapped. Instead of making hasty conclusions, let him think again, Falcon answered. Oh, how she would like to smack him right now, but she doesn't have the strength. Yeah, she can't even take her hand away. The guy mocked. Did she become even weaker than last time? Did he want to die? And if she screams now? Let Lavi be honest with herself. Does she really think she doesn't need him? Asked the boy slyly. Rumors reached him that she only dates priests, and it seems that he has what she so desires. And a light shone in his hand. He touched her hand. Why doesn't she have the strength even to push him away from her? At the same time, there is an inner feeling that suggests that she should not do this. If only she had this light and no more burning heat or headache. You just need to hold hands. But before that, he wants her to apologize for all her rudeness that she poured out on him. By the way, he was sorry. What a childhood. Some crazy scumbag. She would rather die than do something so heinous. Not for nothing. Well, why isn't there anyone who can teach this vile asshole? He is waiting, reminded the priest. Anu immediately moved away from Lavi. She was protected by Akkad, who appeared as if from the ground. She was shocked. He told Lavi to come to him. Who else is this? Do not meddle in other people's business and let him go where he is going, warned Falcon. Akkad took hold of the hilt of the sword. Can he cut off his hand? The priest got scared and let Laviette go. The girl rushed to Akkad. They hugged happily. Is it really him? He stroked her head. Of course he is. Now that he's finally here, Lavi can finally do it. Never let it catch her eye, and she hit the insolent suitor with all her might. He grabbed his cheek. She fell exhausted into Akkad's arms. Here it is, bliss. How could Lavi do this to him? Although it was not so painful, Falcon reacted. He threw his fists at Akkad, but was knocked down by a counterpunch. Don't mention that name again with your filthy mouth, said Akkad. Because Lavi hates him. She was delighted, and this was probably already painful, she said. The girl came to her senses already in bed. Was it really a dream? Akkad unexpectedly returns and chases away Falcon, and then heals, and takes her to the bedroom. It all happened so unexpectedly that it seems completely unreal. Maybe she is still in a dream? Had Alan heard nothing? No, nothing at all. Oh, it's a pity. She already thought that Falcon was screaming again. She just cursed him several times to break his leg. Well, her wish came true, Alan quipped. And where did Akkad go? He will return soon, don't worry, reassured the faithful knight. Okay. She asked Alan if he thought Akkad had changed a bit. When he told her to come to him, she hesitated for a moment. It was the first time that Akkad had called her in such a way. He was so formidable, the expression on his face that she had never seen before was incredibly familiar.